are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Surlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and welcome. It is time for another edition of Spaceboy Universe. I am Spaceboy, and across from me is the lovely Surlana, and we are indeed live tonight. Can you believe that? It is June the 2nd. Man, time flies when you're having fun. And tonight's topic is where have you been? We'll discuss where we've been, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy it because why? Because we're live. As always, you can follow us on Twitter. That's at the SB Universe. Follow Surlana at Surlana. Follow me at Spaceboy Music. And, of course, follow the network that brings you all this fine programming. And that's at the SBU Network. Remember, you can hashtag these tweets tonight with hashtag SB Universe and hashtag Spacecadets to get it onto the board. Let's see, in addition to Twitter, you can find us all over the universe on social media, and that's like YouTube, Facebook, I guess some other places that I can't think of right now, but I'm sure you can find us. Just look it up. Speaking of YouTube, you can find us on YouTube, where we broadcast out videos and all that good stuff, and you can find us as Spaceboy Universe. And, of course, why do I bring this up? You should subscribe, hit that like signal, and all that other good stuff. I guess that must be you, Surlana, because it's not me. Yeah, it must be you because trust me. Anyway, see, this is what you've missed since we've been gone is the banter that goes back and forth. And we guarantee we'll have some tonight. As always, you can take the SBU on the go with you via Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, and iHeartMedia. Man, have I forgot about that.
That's because it's so new. It
is fairly new on the list. Hopefully soon you'll be able to listen to Spaceboy Universe on Spotify. But
that's still in the works.
It's still in the works, and we're working it. And as always, we'll notify you when that thing comes up. Hey, you want to follow the Space Cadets in the chat program? Hey, that's always cool. You can do that by going to spaceboyuniverse.com, click the dancing chat bubble in the player, and that'll get you in with all the cool kids. And, of course, for those who are Spreaker savvy, you can always go to Spreaker and find us as Spaceboy Universe and find the chat that way, too. So without any further ado, I know I've jumbled up the intro a little bit because I'm working off script, and you would think I would have learned it by now. Here is the lovely Surlana. Hello, Surlana.
Hey, what's up? It's been a while, so I guess we should start by addressing where have we been for the last 2.5 weeks that we've not had a Saturday night show. Well,
actually, has it been just 2.5? I thought it was more like 3.5.
Could be, but something we've been saying since about February, since we've known, is okay, once we get past Comic Palooza, we're going to X, Y, Z. Well, Comic Palooza has taken up every single weekend since we knew we were going to go. And it's all been about planning and doing and building and making T-shirts and getting stuff ready and building PowerPoints and then all this stuff. And while we're doing that, unfortunately, you are somewhat incapacitated.
Right.
You've become somewhat incapacitated. far as we know, for you have 2 bulging discs in your neck, and that is what is causing some pain.
Actually, I have more than the disc in my neck. I have some slightly bulging disc in my mid-spine area. And, I don't think it's necessarily related to the injury. I mean, granted, it's like I've described before about always being in constant pain in some kind, but managed pain. And
well, so part of that has been some of it you needed to rest and not do the show. And some of it, we needed that time to prepare because you were experiencing that pain and we needed to prep. And it was just a collision of really unfortunate circumstances and bad timing. Fortunately for us, your sister was able to fly down. One of your sisters was able to fly down from North Texas and help out, but bless her heart, she wasn't in a whole lot better condition than you, but she was able to help me get things set up, stay at the booth when we needed to get up and run around. So she found us a wheelchair to rent every day that we were at Comic Palooza from George R. Brown Center, and I was able to get you around like that because walking and standing aggravates your condition, and even though it seems like it's getting a little better, it still will set you off. You still will have some bad moments. But another thing that's been fortunate about that is ibuprofen has been taking care of you, so we've not had you on hardcore narcotics. So we've been able to manage you with over-the-counter stuff. But the problem is that Comic Palooza was tough. It was really tough for us physically. Here's the crazy thing. I had to do 90% of the prep work in getting us out of the house and back in the house. But here's the crazy thing. I was worried I was going to end up like you. I was going to be damaged or something. I was fine. It was like my body was craving all this physical activity. I had this pedometer app on my phone that I forgot about that I downloaded. I maxed it out all 4 days because it couldn't count that high. Walking to George R. Brown from one wall to the other side because they make you come in Hall E to load in and do security checks for exhibitors. And of course, where are we set up? Hall A, the entire length of the center on the other side. So that was tough. But once we got there and everything was set up, it was fun because we did something different. You had me make a PowerPoint quiz.
Well, I hate to cut you off right there, Surlana, because I was really kind of waiting to push this off into our main meat and potatoes. But I want to jump back for a second and express, a few things. One about this, and plus our ending our relationship with our other show, Data Bytes. First off, I know a lot of you are concerned about me out there, and I appreciate that. And some of y'all have actually called me directly, and it's caught me by surprise. But it's been nice to talk to those people. I seem to do decent, but once I start getting physical, moving things. In fact, we were trying to get the studio hooked back up with a few things, and aggravated my condition. It seems like when I'm walking for long periods of time or trying to, giddy up and go kind of thing, it starts to affect me on my left shoulder and into my neck. And went to a neurologist recently, and he could tell that there's some weakness on my left side, with my arm and everything. And plus, they described that I have arthritis in my shoulder and part of my back. And so I've got to go back to the neurologist Tuesday and do a follow-up with him. But he's also prescribed me some physical therapy, so I need to arrange time to do the physical therapy. There are moments where I feel like, hey, in fact, today was the first time I got to sit in the studio and play around with music. And I haven't touched, any kind of music period, for over almost a month now, because it would aggravate me for sitting for long periods of time.
Yeah,
in
but
my
at
chair.
least you have your new albums out there, and it's not like you're pressured to make something new.
No, but I
have
a vision of the other part of that, because I said it was a double album of sorts. It was the beginning of the end of the beginning, and the beginning of the end was the 2 albums I have vision for to create back to back. And so, I got to sit down. I really didn't make music per se, but I revisited a lot of my old stuff that I like to go back. For example, things that I've covered, music I've covered, and I touched upon the smash up that I sang to Careless Yell, where it's a combination of Rebel Yell and Careless Whisper.
Which is something that you heard.
Yeah, but I covered it.
Yeah. You covered a mashup.
I covered a mashup.
Yeah, which is unlike you.
Well, yeah, it isn't. So anyway, I kind of revisited it, kind of went back and tried to clean it up a little bit. And anyway, so long story short is I got to sat down and, play with my music equipment, which I hadn't done in a long time, which is fun because, it's a part of me, right? So, and then plus, in some years into the future, I'll probably get Ty his Christmas song, and I still
years into the future.
Yeah, so I hope to get that done sometime soon. But anyway, it's hopeful that I was able to do that. Like I said, I still have moments where if I'm pushing myself or walking for too long or whatever, it aggravates my condition. And but yeah, through most of Comic Palooza, there were moments where I said we were going to do this later, but dealing with my condition, that I was like, I just grinned and bared it, and I did my interviews and did my thing for photo ops, and we got through the 3-day weekend. I segue from this going to the other thing. You're absolutely right, Surlana, because Comic Palooza was so overwhelming of what we were heading towards, and then on top of that, me not feeling well. We used to do another show called Data Bytes for the Fringe FM. Unfortunately, we had to end our relationship. I told Joe Roop, which I want to say right now that Joe is just a fabulous person, and I'm sorry that it ended the way it did. And I'm sure he's going to do well with his network, and we wish him all the best. I just told him, I said, look, I can't do this anymore. I'm in a lot of pain, and it's overwhelming to produce 2 shows right now. And there was some stuff that was posted to Facebook that shouldn't have. But I'm not going to blame Joe, and I just want to say that I wish him the best. He's a nice guy. He's doing a lot of fabulous work over there on his network, and we'll go from there. So unfortunately, like I said, I just was not feeling well. I couldn't maintain, producing 2 shows, doing music, and then plus the investment we had placed in doing Comic Palooza. We had to do Comic Palooza.
Yeah, it was a bigger production for us this year.
Yeah, we put a lot of things in there. We invited a few people that didn't show up. I'm not mad or bitter. They probably something happened to them at the last minute.
Oh, no, but let me tell you what. I ain't forgetting about it. I am not going to forget. Next time you need something, I'll remember you.
And see, I thought I was the bad one like that, but
I have a book with a list in it.
And she'll tell you that, don't act like you don't have your own S book, Yeah. So anyway, it is what it is. Some changes were made. We're still, the SBU is still also affiliated with the PAUK Net Radio Network, which we're happy to still be a part of. And we appreciate Mark for playing our replays while we get through this moment of time. But we're looking forward to getting some new interviews, some new people on the books, and reaching out to a few people that we've interviewed in the past. Speaking of people we interviewed in the past,
you said you were going to talk about me this right now.
It's hard. Okay, I'll wait until the next part of the hour. So this is what we normally do during this time: is we go back and forth and banter. So, Surlana, I know you were researching before the show of all the different topics that are out there that, you're just dying to tell people what's out there.
Well, something that you've gone on and on about, and I just listen because, well, that's kind of what I'm supposed to do, but I don't really care. But I think it's interesting is the huge disappointment that has become the Han Solo movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they had these big expectations, like, oh, well, it's a Star Wars film, so it's going to, like, blow everything away. Well, they didn't even get past the Rogue One, which was $155 million. Solo only brought 103. Last Jedi was 220 million.
Mm-hmm.
So they say now they start, Monday morning armchair quarterbacking. So what went wrong? And I'm thinking what you said is they're not catering to the fans. But you know what? Who else doesn't cater to the fans? The Star Trek franchise.
Well,
they don't give a crap either. But they worked out.
They're missing a fine opportunity for making money over money. But the thing is that when Kathleen Kennedy is in charge of Lucas films over there at Disney, when Disney bought up the rights to Star Wars, she was committed to continuing on the legacy that George had started with his movies. And unfortunately, what we've gotten is a continuation of this social justice warrior thing that is plaguing a lot of the movie industry. And I didn't have a big problem with when Ghostbusters came along. I thought, hey, this is different, something new, unique. The original players were not there, yada yada yada. Okay, fine. But and I only bring that up because there was a lot of flack with the Ghostbusters thing. You remember that, Surlana?
Oh yes.
And then you get the Star Wars thing, and since The Force Awakens has come out to now, there has been a decline in watching these movies. Now, the first thing that Disney likes to throw out as a possibility is Star Wars fatigue. And I say that
Star Wars fatigue.
Yeah, Star Wars fatigue of all things. And I say that's bullcrap because let's show the Marvel Universe. Do you think they're in decline?
No.
Heck no. I mean, Black Panther was outselling tickets before they came out, and then you had the Avengers 4, which is still making lots of tons of money. And they've been doing that for some time now. I think it's been almost 10 years that the Marvel Universe has been, in this ramping up of this, new movie, the Avengers 4. And there's no fatigue there. It's obvious that the backers of the MCU are giving their fans what they want. And it shows from their ticket sales. Now you get Star Wars, and what happens is, obviously, Harrison Ford he just wanted the character to die. And so he got his wish in the first movie, Comeback. But that movie still made decent money. And then you come back with a movie like Rogue One, which seemed like
I liked Rogue One.
Rogue One seemed like a Star Wars movie. I mean,
it felt like it sat right like they made it in 1979 or 1980.
Early 70s.
It felt like it was made in that time period. I don't know how I can explain that when it's set in space. And it just had the feel, the right feel.
It had a woman lead in it. And there was nothing wrong with it because it wasn't like they were pushing some agenda-driven thing with Star Wars. And then
she's the daughter of the guy who had the plan, man. And
then you come along and you have The Last Jedi, and it's kind of like this. Let me back up a second, Surlana. When Star Wars came out, I wanted every toy possible from Star Wars. Got lots of action figures from Kenner, and I got the Death Star. Always wanted the Millennium Falcon, never got it, but I still was happy because there was toys. And then Empire Strikes Back comes back.
You know how many some coloring books.
You know how many times I saw that movie, Surlana?
No.
23 times.
Wow.
23 times.
And that was the depressing one.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God, it's like it ends on such a bummer. But I saw it 23 times. And then the next movie, The Last Jedi, comes out. Guess how many times I saw that?
I can't begin to guess.
Almost 30 times. So...
How did you see it 30 times? Like at the movie theater?
Yeah, I went to the movie theater.
How did you
back then?
do that?
Back then, it wasn't like well, maybe Last Jedi, but Blockbuster Video wasn't in the neighborhood. I'm sorry, I'm just tongue-tied because I'm tired. You know, it wasn't like today where it's like, oh, I want to see this, and bam, I could see it at a click of a button. You know, you had to really, you know, if you wanted to really see something again and again and again, you had to go. So, and a lot of those times where, I actually stayed in the theater and watched, you know, back to back to back again. So that was how I could see it over and over again. So I guess where I'm taking this is that you bring you up to date to like The Last Jedi. That was the movie when I saw it. I didn't even go see it at the theater. I waited for it to come out on video, and when I saw it, it was like, this is not a movie that makes me want to watch it over and over and over again.
Well, we're getting into that era, like, I guess, because you know times are getting tougher and tougher financially. But we're like, you and I really pick and choose what we're going to the theater to see. I mean, it's got to be like, worth it.
And I think part of that is because I'm more picky because you're picky.
You can go by yourself.
Because I saw The Force Awakens without you.
Yeah, and you enjoyed it or not, right?
Without
me.
Who can forget my little tear up of when I saw Han Solo and Chewbacca get on the Millennium Falcon? I teared up. It was like
good for you.
Yeah, whatever. And so it is what it is. And I enjoyed that movie, and I thought this isn't too bad. This is a new set of Star Wars movies. I'm just happy that they're here. J.J. Abrams directed it. I had no bad things about it. It was good. Okay, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see the next two, how this is all going to play out. 2 comes along, and it sucked. I got to be honest with you, it sucked. I mean, visually it looks cool in some spots, like when Rey and Kylo Ren do the battle and kill Snoke. And I'm sorry if you spoilers here. If you haven't seen it, you're probably not going to see it. But anyway, so it just, the way the story was written, it was a train wreck of a movie. And I've only said this because I watched it when it first came out on digital video, and then just recently, with all the crap that's been going on with Solo, I watched parts of it again, and I couldn't really watch the whole thing. And I fast forwarded to like the part where Kylo Ren and Rey do battle and kill all the guys in there with Snoke, and it just kind of jumped to that end. And it was hard for me to deal with the fact of Luke, just the way they put that all, together. So anyway, I wasn't very happy with it, and a part of the blame goes to the director, and I can't even think of his name right now, which I'm so verklempt right now. I'm just so emotional because of what they did to it. And then you got Kathleen Kennedy. Obviously, a lot of people are not happy with her because she's been pushing this social agenda of putting politics into the movies. And, the original trilogy, the 4, 5, and 6, really didn't have that. It was more about the hero's journey. And that's what made that Star Wars so wonderful, is because it appealed to both, it appealed to everyone. And so it was just really sad to see her lie in front of camera while she's with George Lucas and saying, yes, I'll carry on the rich tradition of Star Wars, and we'll do this. And instead of carrying on George's vision of what Star Wars was made to be, she's decided to put her own agenda and her own vision to Star Wars. And what has that accomplished? Well, we've seen a decline in the money that is made from The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi, and now Solo, a Star Wars story. And don't get me wrong, I was actually kind of jonesed when I heard about this almost a year ago that they were working on this. But then I got concerned when they said they fired the 2 directors, and they brought in Ron Howard. Now, let's face the facts. Ron Howard is a good director. He's a safe director, but he's a good director. And I've enjoyed some of his movies, even going back to like Willow. Great movie, and I hear they're making a remake. That's a little quick thing plug in there. Not a remake, a continuation probably. Yeah. So, it was already like Disney's already predicting this is going to be a bomb. So almost a year ago, once they fired those directors, they were already predicting that it wasn't going to do good. And then they hire this guy that doesn't even look like Han Solo. When they had a guy that looked and acted, had that the Harrison Ford swagger, and they didn't even pick him as like the top 6 people to play him. It makes me mad because they brought in an acting coach for this guy to teach him how to be more Harrison-like, and I don't think it pays off. Now, looking at this film, I see that Lando Calrissian, played by Donald Glover, I knew that he was going to be a perfect match, and I think he did pretty well in this movie. Chewbacca, how can you go wrong with Chewbacca? I mean, and that was all good there, but there were still other elements in this movie, and I don't want to just browbeat the audience tonight with my assessment of Solo, but it doesn't look good. In fact, you were looking at the box office takes, and it's probably the worst Star Wars movie, even worse than the prequels that some of the critics are saying out there. Now, is this a bad movie overall? Maybe not. Is it has some bad elements in there where they obviously, could have done better? Yes, there is. In the end, will I buy this on video? Probably. But it's kind of like that meme that's out there with Fry from Futurama, where he's saying, "Take my money." Well, I'm sorry, Disney, you're not going to take my money on this, because until you give me what I want out of a Star Wars movie, I'm not going to pay you any money to see that. But on the flip side, hey, there's always the MCU, and you can't go wrong, right? Did I catch you off guard over there?
Well, I deliberately started this conversation so you could get this out of your system, so when we come back from the break, we could talk about interesting things.
Okay, so you don't think what I'm talking about is interesting, huh?
Not to me personally, but some people out there might, and I'm kind of hoping this is the last we hear about this.
Well, I'm saddened that you are not. I wasn't even going to talk about Walking Dead. Apparently.
Well, go ahead. You got 3 minutes.
No, Andrew Lincoln is leaving.
I don't even know who that is, baby.
He's Carl. He's the main. It's been so long since I've talked about Walking Dead. He's like the main lead. He's the man.
Means nothing to me. Never seen the show.
Hey, welcome to the show that means nothing to anybody. So you're listening to SBU.
I'm talking about Walking Dead.
Right back after this. And remember,
this is Patrick Stats 4, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
This is author Jordan Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
All right, we're doing some things behind the scenes. You know, it's been a while since we've been behind the mic, and we're going to get Call Studio up and running, and Surlana will need another break before that happens. And, but we'll take some calls a little bit later. So, Surlana, here's the big moment for you. You've been waiting for, and I kind of pushed you off until set time, and so we've arrived, and we're not going to talk about Walking Dead. So,
you can. It's just that I have nothing to say because I don't watch it.
No, because even Beverly doesn't like Walking Dead, so phooey. So tonight we are going to have a good time and talk about our experience at Comic Palooza, I'm assuming?
Yes, because we need to. We did have a good time. There was some, like I said, there was some challenges for us personally, for you physically. But that aside, that's got nothing to do with Comic Palooza. When we got there and we got all set up, and we were part of, once again, we were proud to be part of the Maker Fair, Makerspace in Comic Palooza. And that was fun, as always, seeing our friends that we've made over the last 2 years with Maker Fair all around us. So what we did a little different, you kind of did like, let's go big or go home. So we upped our ante with our booth area, and we got more interactive stuff. And the cool thing about this year was we got invited to be part of the official Comic Palooza podcast partnerships. And that's what all that stuff on social media was about. The photos I put up of Spaceboy in his astronaut suit next to my chicken purse, because I cannot be seen. I put the headphones on the chicken purse.
Although her coworker took a picture of her.
Yes, one of my coworkers from my job came there with his wife and took a photo, which he said he set it up with you, and I couldn't hurt you because you're already in pain.
He set it up with me. How did
he said it was your fault? He said it was your idea. So I guess he threw you under the bus.
Yeah,
but
apparently he did. I guess. Did you deal with him?
Well, as soon as I saw the photo show up on Spaceboy Universe, I deleted it instantly, and I didn't feel like getting into it.
It's moments like
him.
this that I think that we need to get you a costume so that nobody can see you.
Yeah. Well, speaking of costume, poor Tad, the mannequin that is usually dressed in the official Spaceboy astronaut outfit, is buck naked over here. It's kind of disturbing to look at. He's right to my left. We haven't put the astronaut outfit back on him because it's a lot of work. But what we did this time is we made things more interactive. We got a TV and you have a computer that fits in the palm of your hand. It's just this little square box, but it's a computer. Mm-hmm. And we ran a PowerPoint off of there, and you hooked up your amp, and we enticed people to come over to our booth, answer 3 trivia questions, and they could win a prize. And we gave away either a t-shirt, a Star Trek die-cast ship, because we had tons of them, or a Funko Pop figure that was in a box. So, so it was a blind box. So we got these 2 young men that we met last year at Comic Palooza came back by, and I'll get these videos up later, but oh my gosh, they were just too adorable. I can't wait for you to see that video. But I found out that I made most of the questions too difficult, and I really didn't think they were. And that I keep forgetting that there are people in the world that are younger than me, so I don't know how to ask questions that are geared toward younger.
The thing is that
people in their 30s and 20s.
These questions were not that difficult if you knew what was going on with Comic Palooza.
Well, here we are. I'm thinking we're in Nerd Central, and people didn't know who Josh Brolin was. He's playing 2 Marvel characters. He's playing Cable, he's playing Thanos. You think, but nobody knew who he was in the quiz we did. So there was was it 3, 3, 3, and 3? We had maybe 5 sections of 3 questions or something like that. Mm-hmm. Well, I had one section on gaming, on video gaming, and the first one was about Donkey Kong, what was the character who's trying to defeat Donkey Kong, what was his original name, and it was Jumpman. Mm-hmm. That might be a little obscure. Okay, I'll give you that one. The second slide had a photo of the Atari 2600 video game system. Iconic. And nobody knew it under the age of 40.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is that I was prepared to accept. There's a name on the console, the video
computer system or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
But nobody knew that was another name for it. Now, so the third question I asked in the gaming section was, I took a screenshot of some artwork for a game. And the question was, this is the most streamed game on Twitch right now. And the answer is Fortnite. Because it's not just Twitch, it's YouTube gamers too. I mean, I don't know much about this game. I've seen it being played, and I'm not really interested. But I mean, this game is everywhere, and it's an online multiplayer, thing. All I know is that there's a lot of controversy about how similar it is to a game called PUBG, which is Player Unknown Battlegrounds. Mm-hmm. Whereas you drop in off of a plane, and all you do is survive to the end. All you got to do is just survive without getting killed. So I don't know if Fortnite's the same. But that one, a little bit more younger crowd did understand that. But still, I was amazed at how many didn't know that. I'm like, okay, here's a question that's now. It's for the millennials. It's for, still didn't know that. So that was kind of fun. Now, if we do that again, like for Maker Faire, I'll make them really generic, and we could do them on our 6 topics. So I found out people love free stuff. You know what people really love? People love free t-shirts. They really love free t-shirts, and that made me feel good. You know why? Because I spent 3 days hand stamping with fabric paint into this stencil that I sort of made in Photoshop, and then you sent it off to this online company. They cut the stencil for us, sent it back, and I was sitting there and beat the stencil to death with the stencil maker. And
it's a good thing that I thought about getting t-shirts to do this. So I just wanted to throw that one in too.
But yeah, so that made me feel good. In fact, it got to the point where some of them I finally figured out how to get it right, to make it look right. I kind of want to go back and get shirts in my size, like from, the craft store, and make myself some copies of this shirt. So we didn't have any left over because we wanted to give away everything we could because we didn't want to have to pack anything and haul it back home from the con. So at some point, I might make another batch if Spaceboy's willing to get some. I'll make another batch of the Spaceboy Universe shirts for the astronaut. And that'll be something that we might do as a giveaway to listeners to this show. And then we're also going to have a giveaway. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to sign our extra passes.
Before you put the cart before the horse on that one, there are a few special of those badges, if you will, that I had planned on giving some of our major supporters of the SBU. So
I'm looking at last year's badges right here for Comic Palooza too. Yeah, 2017's.
Those are those, but I think I have some more over there, and that'll go into that pile of badges that we'll sign.
Yeah, so we're going to have some people are going to get some exclusive signed Comic Palooza badges. And what I mean by badges, these are the lanyards, your pass to get in. So the exhibitor pass. But yeah, that was fun. Of course, now what we did is we did this last year, and we did it again this year. So every year we know NASA's going to be at Comic Palooza. They have a pavilion or whatever you want to call it. So day one is Friday. You get your suit on you, and then I found on Amazon, I found this really cool, it's like, I guess, spandex fabric. You just pull it over your head, and it's got a skull print on it. Now, what you went and did is you put the Snoopy cap, which is part of the astronaut outfit, and then you put your regular glasses on over it, and you sat down in the wheelchair, and I pushed you all the way down to NASA, so you're like the dead astronaut, and it looked wicked cool. I mean, the way this graphic is printed on this fabric looks really good. And you can see pictures of this on both our Twitter and Facebook, Spaceboy Universe, social media. So we go down there, and NASA has got somebody inside this giant inflatable astronaut outfit. And so, they take pictures, and everybody stops, take pictures of you, and that's our main thing. And it's like they have this big board for like 60 years of NASA, and we take all the pictures around there. So that was Friday. That was good. So, and we knew Saturday was going to be a big day. So Saturday, and we did this last year, I dress you up again, and this time you put on the chimpanzee mask, which is a really good looking latex mask with hair, like real fake hair. And that mask, it brings out your inner simian, because I want to sit there and style your hair. Like, I pulled it all over to one side so it would cover up, the stitching, the seam from where the hair goes into the latex mask part. And and it's got the little white hairs on the chin and the beard. It looks pretty darn authentic, but the only problem with it is the eyes on this thing. They're creepy. They're so creepy.
The thing is that it looks like at any point where you could be to the left, to the right of me.
It's like those paintings where the eyes follow you.
Yeah, the
just
eyes
like that.
seem to follow you.
And then you went and separately bought some hairy chimp hands that didn't come with it. They don't quite match, but it's fine. It still works. So I put the and you had on your black Converse shoes, and so I wheel you down there, and you were feeling good enough to get up when I got you down there, get up out of the wheelchair and stand around, and then next thing I know, you're not exactly being mobbed, but you're not being left alone either. Kids are coming up wanting. I guess they thought maybe you were with NASA. Want your picture, and across the way there was some phone company was blasting out music, and they had like
T-Mobile.
Yeah, they were playing like classic disco and Bee Gees, and so you were getting down and dancing. I took a quick video of you, and people were like, "Oh, your picture! Want your picture? Can I have your picture?" So again, here comes the big blow up astronaut. We get a picture with him too, And the guy who, I don't know what his character name is, but we see him around over here. He's really tall, and he looks like a barbarian. He's dressed in furs and like, you know, I don't know if he's supposed to be like Genghis Khan type guy.
Yeah, it looked like it would be.
But he talked to you about Planet of the Apes and everything. So, and you know, what we did is I put you back in your chair and I wheeled you all the way down to the opposite end where the celebrities are. Now, you have to pay in advance to get an autograph and meet celebrities. Well, sorry, celebs. Some of you are pretty cool, but I'm never going to pay more than $30 to get anything from you. I'm sorry. But we got to see Brent Spiner and LeVar Burton from like, 50 feet away. Mm-hmm. We could see their head and everything. So that was like our closest close encounter. And you didn't see her, but I saw Kristen Ritter from a distance on Friday. Not that I care, but didn't mean anything to me. Did not see Jerry Ryan. Jerry Ryan was supposed to be there. I just don't think she was out there yet. But there was some Peter Mayhew was supposed to be there. He plays Chewbacca. Don't really care. So, but I wheeled you around, and we came back around, and Sunday, I put you back in the chair, put you back in the astronaut outfit, and oh, bless your heart, this poor mask, I think it got shipped to us messed up. It looked like somebody had punched this mask in the eye. It's a latex mask, and it's a Shiba Inu dog head. And if you're familiar with the meme, the Doge meme, D-O-G-E meme, look it up. You'll see what I'm talking about. But it's a mask of that meme. And the eyes on it are also disturbing because they're cocked off to the side. Mm-hmm. So I wheel you down the main concourse, and people are stopping to get a picture with you. And I can hear people walking by going, Doge, Doge. You don't hear any of this, and your poor mask looks like punched in the face. I'm sort of giggling all the way down there because it just don't look right, you know. But that's the fun thing about it. It also looks like your head is too small for your body for some reason.
Yeah, the mask did seem a little small for me.
Well, it might have been the angle of the photographs I took, but again, pictures of that are there. And I noticed there were a lot of Asians coming to get your picture with it too. So of course, we go back down there and we mess with NASA again. Again, here comes the blow up astronaut. Now they get it now. They get that they were coming down there and just messing with him. Well, there's a lady in like a pink or purple wig. She's like, we should have just hired you to come work down here. And I'm like, ooh, think about it, lady. So that was Sunday, and then we waited a little later on Sunday, and I brought you down there in the outfit. This time you're wearing like a T-Rex mask or a dinosaur head mask. It was good looking. This is a good looking mask too. Mm-hmm. And we put your gloves back on you too. So, and they get it by that time. So we go back down there a third time on Sunday. This time you're in your outfit and you just have your red baseball cap on. You're Spaceboy. Mm-hmm. And the next thing I know, you get to interview the communications guy from Johnson Space Center, NASA, and I got it on video.
And we're a little early to play that clip.
Well, we can come back later.
Yeah, so when we come back at the top of the hour, we can play that clip. But it was great because we walked up and I said, "Is there anybody we can officially interview here at the NASA booth?" And they brought me to a guy. We walked over.
They were really cool about it.
They were, yeah, in fact, I think they were kind of just blown away by the fact that I was in my spacesuit, and mm-hmm. It's been a wonderful thing to have that suit, and it's more than paid for itself over time through Spaceboy Music and now through the universe, and so.
Oh yeah, it has paid for itself over and over and over. Mm-hmm.
And,
for sure.
It wasn't cheap, to say the least. To get it.
So here's something we got time to talk about real quick.
Okay,
so it had to have been Saturday. We're sitting in our booth in the Makerspace area, Comic Palooza. And I mean, from a distance of I don't know how many yards away, I see this guy. And he's wearing a black cowboy hat, and he's got like a mustache, right? And I was like,
"Oh,
dadgum!" I was like, if I didn't know better, I'd swear somebody is here at Comic Palooza who has got the best Daryl Sims cosplay I've ever seen. I don't know if Daryl Sims cosplay is a thing, but my gosh, that would be. And then a little bit later, it comes into my head like he does go to Comic Palooza.
Yeah, we've seen him,
but I didn't really think anything about it, so. We're starting to tour a little tour around Makerspace before we head out to do the main concourse. And there is Daryl Sims. It's Daryl Sims, dressed as Daryl Sims. Now, Daryl Sims likes to wear an authentic black cowboy hat, Stetson, and like a long sports coat. It's not quite a duster, like it doesn't go down past his knees, but that's what he wears in black jeans with
his
a bolo
everyday
tie.
Yeah,
this is just how. And people are coming up to him saying, "Oh, are you a character from Westworld?" And like this is how I dress. And so he was actually doing some practical research there, which I thought was pretty cool.
Right.
So we got to talk to him. He remembered us. We did go down there and see one of his meetups he has for the Houston Hoofon.
Right.
Way down in Webster, and we told him, I said, "Yeah, you and I met and dated." And got married while we were still living in Webster, because that's where he bases his meetings out of. So it was really cool to see him and talk to him. And he showed us some photographs of alien, not handprints, but impressions left by alien hands that he's collected over the years, because he had them in his bag. So, and I remember seeing some of them at that meeting we did go to. So that was very cool to just run into the alien hunter just at random at Comic Palooza. Because like those are the kind of people you see. And speaking of running into people, again this year you saw your friends that you used to room with, who has come back and they got a booth because your friend co-wrote a book, and he was there selling this book. So, and your sister Stacy also got to see him. She was good friends with him too. And she hasn't seen him in over 10 years. So that was really nice to have that little reunion between the four of you.
And we actually did a video interview with Paul Vander and about his book that he co-wrote with Dominique. I can't think of Dominique's last name right now.
Well, I'll get that up. Hopefully I'll start working on all those tomorrow. And the nice thing about these videos is they require so little editing. I can do this pretty quick because you are getting, I'll stop and give you a compliment, you are getting so good at impromptu interviewing.
Okay, what's your angle, girl? Why are you trying to butter me up?
NASA, you love space. You know NASA. You already know what you're talking about.
The thing is,
and you knew Paul.
It's kind of like when I'm tapped into my element, I guess. I will give you that. When I get excited about, when I threw at the space guy at NASA about FTL and the Orion, spaceship and all that other good stuff, and what does the next 100 years hold? It's kind of like, because I've grown up loving space, and I'm like P&J when it comes to Spaceboy and Spaceboy Universe, and because it's all interconnected. And so it just came easily, and plus it helps the fact that I was in drama in high school. One of the things they teach you right off the bat is improvisation, and so I guess when I have a subject matter that I'm passionate about, I guess it's easy for me to just off the top of my head come with these questions.
I always get impressed with you when you do this, and of course I'm the one that has to film it. And as I said, we got through all the Comic Palooza. Sunday, when we got home, my lower back was hurting a bit, but it was like, it wasn't killing me. I was like, this is annoying. And then by Monday, I'm fine, except my right hand, for some reason, is messed up. Now, I've been having trouble with this pre-Comic Palooza. I don't know what's going on, but we went through all that, and the only issue I have is some pain in my right hand. That's not bad, considering what I had to do. So
push me around in a wheelchair.
And that, when you're pushing around in the handles that are made, for you to push, even that hurt. So it got to the point where I just had to take my hands and put them on your shoulders because it felt better just to push you by your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
It's more comfortable. And by the end of the day, I can only make like a claw with my hand. It hurt to like lay my fingers out, and so to wrap up Comic Palooza, huge thanks and shout out to your sister Stacy for coming down and dealing with all our craziness.
In other words, live the show live.
Yes.
In person.
Also do he'll probably never hear this, but I want it out there. Do a shout out for Jared Williams, who is part of the Maker Faire creator space down in League City. He helped me get a few items from our booth to the car and to the van when we were doing loadout, because I guess he just felt sorry for me. It's so pitiful. But big thanks for him, and he says he's available if we need more help loading and loading out next time. So really appreciate the people we've met at Makerspace. Cannot underscore that enough.
Mm-hmm. Great people, and we're glad to be affiliated with them, and we look forward to October when we do Maker Faire.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't be, Surlana's like, yeah, we could do this all over again, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like thinking,
well, it'll be
Surlana,
easier. It'll be so much easier.
I'm thinking it'll be a little scaled back than it was for Comic Palooza. I had high hopes and aspirations for Comic Palooza, and
but physically you weren't ready.
I just was not ready. I just, hopefully it'll be better next year when I'm better off. And but Maker Faire is going to be fun, and it'll be kind of stripped down. But we'll see how that goes too as well. So seeing how things go, Surlana, we're at the top of the hour, and we'd like to see if we can get phones online. So here we go, taking our break, and before she goes nuts over there, you're listening to Spaceboy Universe. I'm Spaceboy, and she's Surlana, and we'll be right back.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Hey, Surlana!
What?
If Spaceboy Universe was cheese, would you eat it? Come on now, it's a simple question.
Maybe?
SpaceboyUniverse.com.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
All right, we're back, and since we're continuing our comic book extravaganza from Comic Palooza, and we've been talking about NASA, Surlana has a video queued up that you can see on Spaceboy Universe's YouTube site. But we're going to go ahead and play that that clip so you can actually hear it. Surlana, do you want to take it from there?
Hopefully this works.
I'm Jack Moore, Exhibits Manager with Johnson Space Center.
It is awesome because, every year that we've come to Comic Palooza, it seems like y'all are hand in hand with Comic Palooza. What can you tell us a little bit about the setup this year?
Well, we love coming out and talking to the public about what we do. And Comic Palooza gives us a really neat opportunity to really do some community engagement and share with the visitors here what's happening at NASA, right? Because we have NASA TV, we have a lot of social media, but this is an opportunity to meet face-to-face, one-on-one. All of the volunteers in the booth today work at Johnson Space Center in some capacity, engineers, scientists, communication specialists, and we're very passionate about what we do because it's just cool. It's rocket science, right? And so it's a great opportunity to talk about things and answer people's questions and get people excited about exploration. And get to talk to folks like you. I mean, you look like a space fan here.
Well,
so
ever since I was a little kid, I think it really started with Star Trek, and then of course, when I started back in the 70s, the shuttle was coming on board, and that kind of was fascinating, and which leads us to the future. The last update we had was the most recent vehicle that we were seeing at that time was the Orion.
Yeah.
What can we tell? Can you give us an update on that?
Oh boy! So I'll tell you what. That's what we have right back here, the Orion spacecraft. And the first launch of this is actually not that far from now. It's 2019 is where we're going to have the Space Launch System, the SLS, and that's going to take off from Kennedy Space Center. And this is a proof of concept, right? It's going to be the first test flight of the Orion vehicle. And this is a vehicle that's rated to carry human beings, right? So we have a lot of launch vehicles out there, but not all of them are qualified to carry a human. And it's very difficult to qualify that, right? You have to have the life support systems. You have to have abort systems. You have to give the vehicle enough flexibility that in the event of an emergency, a human being can engage and control, right? An astronaut. So it's a whole nother level of qualifying a launch vehicle. And so when we launch in 2019, that's going to be a major milestone in addition to a historic moment because SLS is the most powerful rocket that's ever been built. So it's going to be a fantastic sight. It's going to be a wonderful moment. It's going to be that preliminary step into going back to deep space. Because following Exploration Mission 1, which is what that flight's going to be called, we'll have Exploration Mission 2, which will fly human beings on board. And that'll go into lunar orbit, or what we call cislunar orbit. So it's similar to what we did with Apollo, but at much, much higher altitude to the moon. So really on that flight, it's going to be the deepest that humans have ever gone into space, the furthest from Earth. So very exciting times. This vehicle's taking shape down at Kennedy Space Center, same thing with the SLS, and it's not going to be long from now before it all comes together, and we have the big launch in Florida.
So basically, this is our back to the moon kind of situation, but ultimately, I think as a kid growing up, the thing I was always looking forward to is our trip to Mars. So I know this would be phase 1, but is this ultimately going to lead to phase 2s and 3s, or what can you tell us on that?
So you have to almost think of it as it is back to the moon, but it's a bit more than that. Behind you over here, we have the outpost, the lunar outpost, right? So what's exciting about this is it's the infrastructure so that we can go back and do moon missions, but also to help support missions deeper into space. So this could be a space station that's in deep space that allows us to resupply or conduct research that's necessary to go beyond the moon now and off to Mars. So it's kind of like, if you want to travel to another state, you have to have a highway, or you have to have a air traffic control system. You have to have that foundation, and that's what we're building now. And we're really hoping that as we build that foundation, not only will NASA be able to go further, but commerce and industry will be able to continue to follow us in our footsteps. So that's what we like to do, like with the space station. We went up there, we set up an outpost in low Earth orbit, and we got contracts with commercial vehicles to come up there and support the space station, and we're helping to build that economy, right? Now you have the SpaceX and the Boeings and Sierra Nevadas all coming in to help support station with that infrastructure that's in place. So now we'd like to give that over to the commercial and go even further and, bring the economy with us as we go deeper into space, and that helps to bring those benefits back here to Earth. So, it's a very exciting as we peek over the horizon. We got one hand on the horizon, the other hand we're holding it with industry, and we're bringing everybody forward.
As far as technology coming down the pipe, what is something that you see in the next 100 years that we can be looking forward to, like FTL and things like that?
Boy, next 100 years. Well, it's funny because I did a panel yesterday all about, the role that art has at NASA, right? And a big topic for us was that symbiotic relationship that science fiction and science fact seem to have, right? It's almost like a constant one-upsmanship. Star Trek brings out tricorders, and industry says, hey, that's kind of cool, how can we do that, right? Well, we've got these things called satellites, maybe we can make that with cell phones. And so there's this constant gradual stepping. So looking out 100 years, boy, we're talking about the adventures my grandkids may go on someday. And selfishly, I hope that is a very broad, that there's a lot of options for them in terms of where they could choose to go. I hope they get to explore the oceans of Europa, or possibly see the shores on Titan. Those are the kinds of things that excite me. That really kind of drives my passion. Working at Johnson Space Center, is that we are really laying that foundation to make those kinds of things possible.
So, one last question: when did your fascination begin with space?
Well, I was grinning when you mentioned Star Trek, because some of my most vivid memories are sitting on the couch with my dad watching the original Star Trek series, and then eventually watching The Next Generation, and those are things that are very near and dear to my heart. And I think that was part of it. I could point to a lot of things. Particularly my unique path was art. So I went to school and I studied art, and then worked my way into NASA as a communications specialist. So I point to science fiction, I point to Star Trek and Star Wars. Star Wars probably a little more so than Star Trek. But also, watching PBS and seeing Commander Mark, drawing things on TV, drawing these worlds and spaceships and aliens, that got my imagination going, and I wanted to capture that in my own art. And when I found out that I could create things that got people excited about something that I was also passionate about, I think it was destiny at that point. So I do have a lot of roots in science fiction, but I have to give a lot of credit to a lot of different people, because we're all kind of on this journey together, helping to support each other, and it's hard to put my finger on just one thing, but those memories with my dad watching Star Trek probably played a big role.
Yeah, I have to agree, the Star Trek thing, and of course, I'm actually from a small town outside of San Antonio, Bandera, Texas, so I'd get a chance to be able to see the night sky and just wonder about the many infinite possibilities that are out there. Of course, listening to Carl Sagan talk about the many things, and so I can tell we're based in the same roots there, and it's just the unknown, the final frontier, if you will, to head on out there. Well, we appreciate you taking the time, and we, like I said, we love NASA, and space is in our blood, and we hope you have a great day.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and if people want to learn more, please visit us on Twitter at NASA _Johnson is where you can hear about what things that are happening at Johnson Space Center. And of course, if you really want to dive in deep and see all the exciting things NASA's doing, we have a pretty long URL, so if you grab a pen at home, it's nasa.gov. And that's the starting point on an amazing journey to uncover all kinds of cool stuff about the agency. So thank you for your time.
Yes, and it was quite an interesting interview. I enjoyed talking with him, and I'm actually looking forward to maybe reaching out to someone out there again.
That was so cool, because that was totally spontaneous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, I had nothing written down.
Nope.
It was just really off the top of my head, and just
you're just enthusiastic about the subject.
Yeah, so
and I filmed it.
Yeah. So, you are the person behind the camera. You are...
That's where I belong, behind something.
Not necessarily you belong there. It's just you prefer to be the silent partner in a lot of ways.
I actually prefer to be at home reading a book, but we can't all get what we want.
We all can't be winners.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Speaking of book, I just have to mention this. I broke down, and I got me a book.
inside a piece of paper?
Yeah, well, the thing is that, you're always busting my chops, like, well, you don't read, you don't. Well, I broke down and bought me a book. So, and I'm reaching into my Amazon bag to pull it out so I can give it proper justice real quick here. It's an Alien book. And when I say Alien, I'm talking about, from the Alien franchise from Fox, an original novel based on the blockbuster films from the 20th Century Fox. And this is the newest book, and it's called The Cold Forge. So it's an all-new story. And, usually I've been getting these books through audiobooks. Unfortunately, this book is not on audio, but I'm sure at some point they will have it. Or actually, I think they did have an audiobook, but it was in MP3 format. It's just bizarre, and they wanted like $30-something for this, and so I said, forget that. I'll just buy the damn, pardon my language, buy the paperback book because it was, it was on sale for $6 and some change. And
good for you.
Hey, don't get all
I'm not being
Christian
sarcastic.
Bell on me.
I'm so glad you have a book to read.
I had to even ask Surlana, is over 430 pages acceptable for reading? And so I guess she was just in tears just knowing that I had something that was paperback and willing to read.
I've still, until you've read Bleak House or Charles Dickens, nothing counts.
Actually, I've done my reading for literature back in school, and I plan on never going back to that.
I didn't want to read it either, but I had to. So.
Well, anyway, so I just had to share my fact that I bought a book, and I'm excited, and I can't wait to get to reading.
He wants a gold star, apparently.
Well, I do. I want recognition. I want pool tables, and bumper cars, and all that good stuff.
So, the other cool thing that we've done is today we went to see Deadpool 2. Mm-hmm. And I know it's too new, no spoilers, blah, 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 but here's the one takeaway. This is not really spoiling it, but this is the one takeaway from Deadpool 2 that I cannot get out of my head.
That it did better than Solo?
No, this is blowing me away. This is the song from Yentl, Papa, Can You Hear Me, is the same as Do You Want to Build a Snowman from Frozen?
Yeah, it comes
and the reason they stuck that in there, right?
Oh, well,
because Barbara Streisand is Josh Brolin's stepmom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I've mentioned that several times to you before.
Yeah, so I can't stop thinking about it.
Even at Comic Palooza, when one of the questions was, it had a picture of Josh Brolin's
in
face,
our quiz,
and I said, name this actor who portrays two major characters in the MCU, Thanos and Cable, and so
he looks so bad, bleep, in as Cable. He looked really good. They did a great job on him.
And despite the the mechanical parts that it shows on him, because he's kind of half cyborg in a way,
they call it Terminator.
He really worked out for this particular movie. I mean, he was just extremely buffed, and compared to some of the other people that were possibly going to be the character, I think they picked the right character for this movie.
Well, Brolin said that he was on set for Infinity Wars. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, he had to do motion capture.
Right.
And he said all these guys that are on camera, they're like superheroes, and they look so buff and in shape. He goes, when you take their suits off, they're not in shape at all. It's all, smoke and mirrors, and he's just really shocked by that. But, of course, Deadpool 2 is a nonstop, jaw-dropping, violent giggle fest. I highly recommend it. It was so much fun. I don't know who the people were sitting next to in the theater, but they were getting a kick out of it. I was laughing at them, laughing at the show.
I mean,
they were going, oh!
There were a lot of Marvel references. There were a lot of DC references.
Oh, they destroyed everybody. He went after everybody. MCU, DC. He had a few digs at Brolin with, Yentl and a Goonies reference because. Right. Josh Brolin's first acting gig was The Goonies as the older teen in The Goonies. And he said that when he auditioned for that, he was so bad at it, they didn't want him to be in the movie. But for some reason, somebody talked Spielberg and Donner into it. And the rest is history. But I really enjoyed it. I didn't think they could top the first Deadpool, but, you know, and there were parts of it, they're like, aw, and parts of it were like, holy crap, you know? The level of gore in this, they just really amped it up. And it's probably disturbing for me to say I loved it because it was not pretty.
Well, you've kind of grown to love the merc with the mouth, and so
as I'm sitting here in a Deadpool jacket.
Yeah. So I mean, he apparently is one of your favorites, even though you might not say you're into the MCU per se, but
I can't think of any other character that I really like
as
get
much
up,
as Deadpool.
let's go see this now, you know.
Well, I know you wanted to see it before Comicpalooza, and we were just so busy.
God, how many Deadpools did we see at Comicpalooza?
Oh, there were quite a few. There was
including a Deadpool that was dressed up as Deadpool, wearing a flapper outfit from like the 1920s, this flapper pool. He was so funny too. That's another cool thing about Comicpalooza is you can stop and ask someone for a picture or ask them, hey, you're cool looking, but I don't know who you are. Do you mind if I ask who you are?
You know, and the surprising thing
is people are passionate about it.
I only saw one Han Solo.
I saw at least 2 or 3.
Oh, I don't think there were that many.
Yeah, I did.
I mean, we
saw families.
Saw Doctor Strange, which was cool. His getup was pretty
What
accurate.
about that Bumblebee that was walking down the main strip? That was impressive.
That was impressive. I'm trying to think of other ones that stood out. You know, compared to like last year when you had Mary Poppins.
Y'all.
And she was dressed up as Mary Poppins, but looked like Yondu.
Yeah.
And but yeah.
And I didn't get that reference because we had not seen the movie yet. But I like the guys. I took the photograph of you while you're still dressed as the chimp. I call you the chimpstronaut. They had the stormtrooper helmets, but they were dressed in white.
Right.
Just white sport coat, sport pant, jacket.
Kind of imagine, if you will, like
it was like a
Daft Punk.
Yeah, well, it was kind of like
stormtrooper heads,
stormtrooper Mafia or something, you know.
Or that way too. Yeah.
So that was really cool. They wanted a picture with you, but and I did see a Daft Punk character, but not both of them.
Not both of them together, but they were
just
separate.
one of them.
Yeah.
I don't know their names. Of course, the guy who does Davros from
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who was there. Of course, Daleks were there. I like that guy's got it going on. Of course, over in our thing, they had a blow up Pikachu, which is of course Jared dressed up, and it's fun to mess with him. And then what else did we see? It was pretty cool. There's just so many things there.
There was, and once again,
lots of Spider-Man, lots of Deadpool.
We did not get through everything.
We never even made it to the second and third floor. When Comicpalooza takes over the George R. Brown Convention Center, it takes it up wall to wall, and there's 3 floors. It takes up every single floor, wall to wall. It's big. It's like the 5th largest in the country now, and it was his 10th anniversary year for Comicpalooza, so it was a big, big deal this time around. So again, there's always something to see, always something to look at. And another thing is that we also interviewed this, I can't remember his name, but it's in the video, this young man. Now, I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z, but some of you out there I'm sure do. I'm aware of what it is. I know it's an animated thing. I know it's sort of like in a Japanese style. And I know it's been around for a long time. And I know it has a huge following. And that's all I know about it. Well, apparently, there's some kind of vehicle in this animation. I don't know if it's an escape pod or just a pod they cruise around in. Maybe somebody could call in later and explain it to me. Well, this young gentleman was in the makerspace area because he made something by hand. He made a replica of this pod that it's like a one-person, I'm going to call it an escape pod because that's what it looks like. Well, you can open it. It has like this red lens. You can look out. He put some light up buttons, and you click a button, and there's a recorded voice from the actual show. The show's creator actually recorded a custom message for this pod. And part of the whatever he does with this thing, where if he takes it somewhere and he makes any money, goes to this children's charity. So that is another video interview that's coming. I will get online for you to look at later on our YouTube channel. And it was really inspiring.
Yeah, I was going to say, one thing I always like about interviewing makers is their exuberance and
passionate.
And they're passionate
this
about
guy
what they're doing.
Was passionate. You're like, why would you do this? Why would you spend all this time and money? But he just wanted to do it. And it was a thing where he'd started it with 2 other guys, and they wanted to like buy him out of the project and make it profitable. And he's like, no, that's not the vision I have. So he bought them out and just used volunteers from his friends. His own father helped him out, and his father had no idea what he was doing, what this was for, but because it was his son, he wanted to help out. And I was like, aw, that's so sweet. And but he said people have been married in front of it. He's taken it to Dragon Ball Z conventions, and it's just it's a huge deal in this community. Right. So I just liked the story. There's good stories from makers who go and they create things and do things. And our booth is next to a booth where it's lined with sewing machines, and they make custom.
Hey, Steve. Oh, you're not Steve.
Oh, don't even go there. Anyway, they had this really cool dress, and it was a Wonder Woman dress done in the 1940s style. Like, the bottom, the skirt was stars, and the top was red, and it had, but you could tell it was Wonder Woman.
Very nicely done.
And then another booth had like a Batgirl apron and a Wonder Woman apron and a Supergirl apron. So it was like really cool nerd couture, Yeah. So that's all the kind of stuff you can find at Maker Faire. They do it at Comic Palooza. They do it at Maker Faire. And Maker Faire is going to be in October, and it'll be coming up soon. If you're in the Houston area and you've got kids, or you've got, an interest in VR, AI, robots, 3D printing, quilting, making your own soap, making your own perfume, nail polish,
making your own podcast,
want to see what the libraries are doing. The Houston libraries have maker spaces in them, meaning you can go to certain Houston libraries and say, hey, I need a lathe. I need to learn how to 3D print a project. I need to learn how to do wood burning. And you can walk in there and do it, and they can help you. That is pretty dang cool. It's not just about checking out books and encyclopedias anymore at the libraries here in Houston.
And I think that's awesome because it gives people an opportunity that don't have this equipment and
can't afford it.
And
maybe you've got a one-time project.
Yeah, to give them an opportunity to learn how to use it and maybe find an interest in it. I know that our good friends up at A-Leaf, Houston Community College.
Shout out.
Yeah. They have opened up this new part of the college where it's teaching people how to use MP3 in maker equipment, to manufacture things, to do T-shirts, to create. They were creating Star Wars Stormtrooper helmets.
It's 3D printing and woodworking and traditional stuff, but it's in a makerspace inside of a community college, and that whole building is a collaborative environment. It was we had a tour of the building. It was very impressive. I'm like, oh, I want to work there, but I'm not intelligent enough probably to work at some place like that. So, because I'm just old and tired. Anyway, so I think it's really cool that maker spaces are all over the country. It's not just here in Houston. Maker Faire is not just here in Houston. It's all over the world. And if you know Adam Savage, remember Mythbusters, he is very deeply involved in the makerspace, Maker Faire community. So
it was kind of like when we were talking to Dave Bernay.
David Brunet.
Yeah, and he was talking how we missed out on having this special Maker Faire.
Thing. we could have had this Uber Maker Faire and have Adam Savage come in Houston. But our mayor wasn't on board with it because he didn't understand anything it was about. So I'm like, that's why I didn't vote for him. So there you go.
But it was kind of a bummer. But
Write our mayor and tell him how you feel about that.
Yeah, everybody across the nation, write our mayor so that people can come here.
Sylvester Turner. Let him know exactly what you feel. Please do that. Anyway, so I know we're coming up on a break. I will open up the phone lines when we come back. I'll give you the magic number.
We have phone lines again?
Yeah, I will give you the magic number, but not till we come back from our break.
Okay, well, let's get this rolling, Surlana, and so we can talk to our space cadets that are out there and
see if they even missed us. Did you notice we were gone?
Yeah, oh, well, that's why the title of our show. Where have you been, Spaceboy and Surlana? We're right here talking to you live on the SBU. Don't go anywhere.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt. It's Bot versus Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot. You're terminated. Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production.
You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
All right. The phone lines are open. That's 833-202-SBUN. That's 833-202-SBUN. Call that number. That'll get you connected. Surlana is standing by to click the button to engage.
Type that on there, too.
She's typing the number in the chat room as we speak.
This number's so complicated.
And so, we're looking forward to talking to some of our space cadets that are out there and seeing what's going on in the universe. And, it's always good. So, Surlana?
Sorry, I'm trying to do math.
That is one thing you shouldn't do while we're doing the show.
Sorry. So let's see, where are we at with things? Well, we found out over the time that we were gone from live shows that one of our things we are interested in, we've already got a caller. I bet I know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Hello, Bev.
Hi.
It's just like we knew you were itching to call us in tonight, and so we're happy to hear from you. How are you?
Well, I'm happy to hear from you. I missed you guys.
Oh, you say that to all the overnight broadcasting people.
We are just glad you noticed.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know that many.
Yeah, we know we're not your favorite.
Yes, you are.
So talk to us. I can hear Bob in the background. What's going on, my dear?
Oh, we went to a wedding reception. His cousin got married today.
Oh, that's always nice.
Went to the reception. We had fun. Wanted to go to the wedding too, but couldn't work it out.
But as long as you went to the reception, did they have good food?
Yeah. Yeah, food was good.
Yeah, because, see, that's always important because, as a kid, I went to many wedding receptions, and between the food and the dancing, it was always good.
I've been lucky. I've not had to go to many weddings or showers. I get to that point in my life, like, could everybody hurry up, get married, graduate, have your kids, and just get it over with so I don't keep going to these things, I don't like it.
Well, then, his nephew is getting married the 2nd of November, 2nd or 3rd of November.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was his cousin that we went to today. His sister is getting married the 17th of November. It's like, oh my God. We got lots of... But, hey, I got some good news.
Yeah, I saw in the chat that you had some news. What's going on?
Okay. And I'm so excited. Okay, now, have you guys ever seen the commercial about the Enogen?
What?
I don't think I don't know. Explain a little bit more.
Okay, it's a portable oxygen thing, and it works like a regular big oxygen machine that circulates and reuses the air that you're around.
Oh, okay.
And it only weighs about 4 pounds.
Okay, so I'm getting from this that you're getting something portable?
Yes. Well, see, I've got portable tanks, but oh my God, they're so heavy.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
And I was checking into it with our insurance company, to see if they would cover it, and because I was explaining to her, how heavy they were, and I've got arthritis, and it's just hard. And poor Bob, he calls himself my pack mule.
That's the least he can do.
Because he's got
That's the least he can do. I'm not sorry for Bob.
Well, I feel so bad for him because he's the one that's got to carry them, and so I found out that it's Northwest Ohio Medical Supply that I get my big oxygen machine through.
Yeah.
They've got what they call an AccuVox. Well, it's a pulsating machine. It's a pulsating oxygen. So every time I breathe in, it pulsates oxygen for me. So I'll be getting that. And I won't have any more these heavy tanks to carry around. And it lasts 6 hours, and they're rechargeable.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, it's probably going to give you some freedom that you didn't have before.
Oh yeah, and I'll have a they'll have me a backup one, so I'll get 2 of them, and you can plug them in. Like if we're going on a long trip, you can plug them in on the lighter in your vehicle.
Oh, well, that's cool.
And Bob says, "You get that? We're going to take a trip to the lake just so we can do something."
That's awesome.
Hey, now, it sounds like Bob's getting frisky.
Don't go there.
What?
It's none of your business.
It's been so long since we've been able to do anything because I'm so limited, because each of my portable tanks only lasts an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then refilling them takes forever. It's like what I used today, I used them all today. I'm refilling them now because we got a birthday party to go to tomorrow for a little 4-year-old that we know. His mom's a really good friend of ours, so it's like, ugh, I get tired of it.
Well, that sounds really good that you finally got something that gives you some freedom.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, it's because, I walk with a cane.
Yeah.
Well, I got this bag from this one lady, and with, trying to carry the tank with my purse, I don't have very big hands. And it's hard to carry both of them in one hand. So this lady gave me a bag, so I carry my purse and my tank in the bag, but it's still heavier than... So it's going to work out so great.
Well,
I can't wait.
That's exciting news. I mean, I know those tanks can get pretty huge, and
I've seen them.
In fact, a close friend of the family has to have this big device that he has to have because he's got problems with his lungs and he's not getting enough oxygen. Yeah. So to be honest with you, it looks like one of the older carpet cleaner machines that I've seen. Yeah. I mean, it's that big, So, bless
Mine's
your heart.
Mine's not that big. Mine's not that big, but the whole unit, I mean, the bottom part, the main part, isn't that big. And then the part where I fill the tanks, that sits on top. So when I get that AccuVox, they're going to take the tanks.
That's going to be so good for you.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy for you,
Bev. I got the tall cylinders, but that's just in case, our electric will go out or or something would go wrong with my machine itself.
So I guess the question I have, is Bob going to install a cigarette lighter on the motorcycle so he can strap you on the back?
Space Boy, I couldn't even lift my leg up that high to get on it.
Oh, well, they've got some, low riders and,
Let me tell you, Bev, this whole situation we've been dealing with Space Boy's, bulging disc issues and pain. I've been what I think is playing the good wife, right? Like, have you taken your ibuprofen? Do you need more? Do you need me to get more? Do you have your iced tea to drink it with? Do you want me to get you another bowl of that, another plate of this? I've been helping him out when I can. Like, do you need me to carry that? You need me to do this for you? Da, 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 da. And he's like, I am going to miss this when I get better. And I'm like, that's right. The minute you're well, this all goes away.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is she's going to hurt me again and then put me back.
They said to stop stabbing him with steak knives in his sleep, so I've stopped doing that. This is not helping.
Oh, my God. Oh, Lord, you guys are funny.
But, yeah, so I've been pushing him around in, like, a wheelchair or something, to help him out when he gets tired.
There was that day, like, hey, you're getting close to this ledge. You want to, roll back a little bit? Come on, roll back. I thought she was going to push me over a ledge.
Did you use the electrical carts in the store?
I have not.
I hadn't thought about that.
I haven't come to that point yet because.
Well, when you do that, you need to bring your cane. He has a cane. He has several canes.
I even got my pimpin' cane.
Yeah. When he had some trouble, he would get a cane to sort of lean on the good side when things were getting a little painful, which is good because when you have a cane, that tells other people, stay away from me. I have a cane, and it works. It keeps. Sometimes when my dad was here, I made him have a cane. He didn't need a cane, but cane says, stay away from me. I need space and I want a cane. And you could pick up, this is aluminum cane, you could pick up a cane and beat someone's butt with it if you have to.
For the most part, people have been nice and
they're helpful too.
There was this one lady, let me tell you.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
I was leaving work and she couldn't get through the door fast enough and let it close behind her, and which pissed me off because I was like, I've been also using a sling too on occasion when the pain gets really bad.
Yeah, he put his arm in a sling on that side.
And so I got out the door and
it's really pitiful too.
And I said, "Thank you." And she looked behind and couldn't get out of there fast enough because I put the embarrassment on her and people were coming towards the door and saw what she did.
Dirty looks.
And so she's like, "Okay, I need to get out of here."
You're kind of evil too, so yeah, but
Dino says you need the hurricane.
Dino?
Yeah.
You ever seen that? Yeah, you ever seen the hurricane on TV?
We don't have TV anymore.
Yeah, we don't get the commercials. We've eliminated.
We don't get local. We don't get cable. We just only do internet stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
On our smart TV.
Now, I'll tell you what, people, I ride in the electrical carts in the store. I'll tell you what, man, some people are just rude.
Yes.
They act like you shouldn't be there if you can't walk around in the store.
That's why you keep your cane to beat them with. I'm looking for a fight, let me tell you. But I didn't think about that. We should do that for you when we can, but you need to bring your cane so you look legit.
Well, we have to go to a store first because we've been eating out.
Oh my gosh, babe. I guess we're lucky. We live in an area where we can get Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub, which these are all delivery services that from restaurants that will just order it and they bring it to your door. And I can't remember the last time we sat down in a restaurant because we've been abusing the delivery services. The only downside of that is it can take up to an hour to get to you, but still.
You have the world is your oyster basically, and what you can get delivered, and we have several.
We can also get stuff delivered to our house in 2 hours or less from Amazon.
Amazon Prime, which is cool, and I use that for work actually, Surlana. Is there's been times when I've needed to order a part or something for work, and I get it within a few hours at work. I've also had stuff delivered at work that I didn't feel comfortable having it delivered here because we were both out. And so, but the thing is that it's really cool is that you don't have to be a member of the people of Walmart and have to deal with all that stuff because, there are crazies there.
Last time you and I went into Walmart, I did see something that if I was the kind of person that took photos of random strangers, it would need to go up on that site. I was like, how are they getting away with this without getting arrested for slightly indecent exposure? I mean...
But yeah,
I know, man. Some of them are. Whew. They about show everything.
I kind of want to get him a wheelchair or a transport chair. A transport chair is like a wheelchair, but it doesn't have the two giant wheels. It just has small 12-inch wheels
to push you. And now
it's just
I actually
purchased it. Like the electrical carts at the store.
Yeah.
Well, I actually got one of those, and the dang thing broke on us, and so I just sent it back.
It was made of aluminum, not steel.
Don't get me wrong. It was rated for somebody. Rated for 300 pounds. You're
well under that.
I am.
I couldn't get away with it, but you're well under that. That wasn't the problem.
I'm about 220, and I'm still gradually losing weight. I believe, because every time I look at myself, it's like, okay, I hope there's nothing major wrong with me, because I feel like I'm slowly losing weight.
Yeah, well, that wasn't it. It was just it wasn't made of the same grade of metal that a wheelchair is made of. It has the big wheels, but the wheelchair, you can push yourself with those two big wheels. Well, this one, a transport chair, is somebody has to push you. You can't push yourself unless you're using your legs. So I kind of like that, because I can literally push him around and just put him where I want him
instead of me controlling the action.
And you can put him out in the middle of the aisle and leave him there.
Well, I mean, he can still.
Hold on.
He can still get up and walk away.
Talking about freeway here,
Oh God!
I was talking about the store.
Leave him in the middle of the freeway. Well, he's not incapable. I mean, he can still get up and walk somewhere.
Yeah. The thing is that when I used to be able to walk 70 miles an hour, and now I can walk maybe a mile an hour now. And
now he used to be able to book it, and you can't now.
I'm really it's frustrating, because I can really see that I have limitations, and I get excited when I'm like, okay, I can do this, or I can make this happen, or I can't even do some of the simple tasks that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know exactly how you feel, because I get so frustrated with myself, because it takes me all day just to clean the living room and the dining room, because I have to take so many breaks. And I just get so frustrated because I can't do things like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob gets frustrated too, because he's the same way. And it's just, And the older you get, my dears, the worse it gets.
Well, I'm hoping for robot arms and legs soon, so, we'll see how that goes.
Okay, now what are they going to do for your disc?
Well, the doctor I saw, the neurologist, the one I'm going back to, he said that it's not uncommon for a man my age to see some disc like that, just from the hard living that I've done.
But literally, it was like, you're fine, and one day you woke up, everything's just not good anymore.
I really think that, over a month ago, what it was that I had a lot on my plate at work, and I might have overextended myself in some way. I remember having to get under some desks to run wiring and stuff like that, and so I felt like I pulled a muscle, and it was like something I've already experienced before, and it was just a matter of, okay, I need some rest and stuff, and it just got progressively worse, and yada, 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 and to the point where I couldn't move. I was in so much pain. Surlana will tell you that I was sleeping in my recliner, because it was the only place that I could find.
He had over a week where he had to sleep in his recliner is more... It's not like mine. Mine's big, poofy, overstuffed, and cushy, and his is more like a club chair, leather. It's more stiff.
It's like the chair.
Not as well padded.
Like someone gets to sit in at the doctor.
At the
hospital.
it keeps his back straight up.
I totally understand that, because I have to, if I lay flat.
Yeah, it's worse.
It's hard for me to breathe, and plus I have 2 to 3 bulging discs in my back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're starting to get real bad, and I can't lay flat, so I have to sleep in a recliner, so I totally understand that.
Well, it gives him some kind of relief, so between him sitting up and that ibuprofen, that was the only relief he could get, but it was starting to wear him out, and it was making his feet swell up, and they were getting really weird.
Oh,
and,
yeah, my feet were swelling up.
Well, and
real
you have
bad.
to be careful taking so much ibuprofen because it's not good on your kidneys.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and then being diabetic is, further limits your options.
Yeah.
But he's been in constant contact with his doctor about everything, so he's been, being careful about it. But it's like he's been improving.
I can't do ibuprofen. I can't do ibuprofen either because of my kidneys. I'm still having problems with them. But I can do yeah.
Well, the
off-brand Tylenol,
the doctor wanted to.
I can do that.
He was reluctant. My personal doctor was reluctant to give me steroids because I'm diabetic. Of course, what was interesting is I get to this neurologist, and he was talking about, we could probably do a steroid shot.
Some diabetics can do steroids if it's it depends on, I guess, what your level. But the thing is, steroids shrink inflamed tissue. That's why they would want to do it, and it gives you relief. That's what that's for. So,
yeah, and boy, they shoot that right into your bone. Bob and I was both doing shots in our backs. Oh man, that hurts.
Imagine so.
Actually, I think when I had my lower back surgery stuff, they injected, but I think they gave me some kind of sedative, and then they.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and then they injected the steroid shot in me.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they'd done that for me.
Yeah, because I don't recall being in much pain from it.
Yeah, they help, but over time, steroids are not good for you either.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, because they put weight on you.
Oh, well, you know why? It's like prednisone. That's the number one most prescribed pill form.
Yeah,
it makes you so dang hungry. You want to eat the world. That's why it gives you so much weight gain. You're like, I'm hungry. I've never been so hungry when I take steroids.
See, that's why I don't like taking it.
Yeah, well,
taking prednisone.
They don't just prescribe it too much. I don't think so. Well, and we're getting near the top of the bottom of the hour, so we're gonna have to take a break, Bev.
Okay.
Well, it was great hearing from you.
Well, I'm just glad you guys are back.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are, and
or not. We don't know.
Things are going, and we'll see how they go. And tonight's a good night because we're all alive and kicking.
Yes, Catalina, call in, honey.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you next time. Give Bob a hug from us, and give
deserves it.
Dino the dog a hug for us.
And I'll give Elliot our cat a hug.
Oh, and I didn't want to leave the cat out too.
No. They're our babies.
Good night, dear.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you guys very much.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, Surlana, so it is the top of the hour, and so let's take our top of the hour break. When we return, we'll have more calls from the Space Cadets that are phoning home, and we look forward to hearing what's going on, so don't go anywhere.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Surlanus Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
All right, we're back, and it seems like I've narrowed down what my equipment was doing to me to drive me crazy. And I think I need to go back to the headset microphone thing. Apparently the springs and the mechanism that holds the mic was vibrating and making that noise.
Why was it doing that?
Vibration. And
Weird.
Springs and, the desk. It has.
Is this the humming you kept saying was driving you crazy?
Yes.
That only you can hear?
Only I can hear, I guess.
Only you can hear it.
Well, I'm striving for a good broadcast signal, and, it's all I can do to, narrow things down.
Let me just repeat the number real quick.
Sure.
833-202-7286. That is 833-202-SBUN if you want to call in toll free. That's up to you.
So I think at some point I might reach out to Amazon and buy another kind of mic stand, the kind that sits like right here. Mm-hmm. And I can just put it in, and so it's no vibrating parts or anything. Because I think it's
both need that.
It's these spring. Well, I don't really hear anything from you, and so
we have a caller.
Caller,
are you there?
Hello, this is Catalina. How are you guys doing?
Hello, Catalina.
Long time no hear.
I know. I'm not a big person talking on the phone for shows, but for yours, I do it.
Well, we appreciate that. You rock.
We're special.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to share about your back issue, and I just emailed an old friend because I hadn't heard from, we hadn't kept in contact for so long, but it was over about 10 years ago, and it found this clinic, or it's like a healing center, and it's for backs, and it helps to cure their, almost cure, bulging discs. And I told her about it because her daughter was suffering really bad about 10 years ago, couldn't walk or anything. And she went, there were different facilities, and she went to one, it was in Sacramento where they were. And I'm hoping she'll email me back to give me the name, because I totally forgot the name. I've been trying to do a search for it. But what they do is it's sort of like a traction table. They put your legs in these, if I can remember, I don't know if this is totally right, but they clamp them down in this table, and what it does is
it pulls you.
It slowly pulls the discs apart correctly, and they do it.
Sounds like medieval torture.
No, well, what it does is, see, our disc, the vertebrae protect the disc, and so they clamp down. Mm-hmm. But the person that designed this figured out that if it's done a little bit at a time, it's not a one-time thing. I think she went for, I don't know how long she went for, but a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, so that your body will slowly, and you have to be perfectly still, and it opens it up so that this disc can go back in to place, see? Because what happens is the vertebrae squeeze it, because it's trying to protect it, and then it won't open it up to let it go back in. And so this is what this person, this place figured that out. And so that's how it cured her. So it slowly makes the little, bulgy thing go back into, your spine where it's supposed to be. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah,
you don't hear too much about that.
I have done that before, and it's been a long time since I've done that before. But in fact, when we were at Comic Palooza, a close friend of the family that we got to interview for his book, but his wife works at a chiropractic clinic, and they use that and to kind of, she was describing it as a jelly donut that's kind of spilt out, and then when they use the machine, it kind of soaks up, if you will, the jelly back in, kind of thing. And she kind of put it in the basic terms like that. And I would not be surprised if maybe something like that, like I said, I have some physical therapy that I got to get it on the books and scheduled, and to get that done, and to make me 100%.
I'm just glad it isn't surgery at this point.
Oh yeah, because I would really hate to go, because I have had the surgery before. I had my L4 and L5 fused together.
Oh,
and
wow.
I had rods put in my back.
Oh my gosh,
that's a long time ago.
Yeah, back at the turn of the millennium. And
I didn't even know you then.
Yeah, so the thing is that I recovered quite nicely from that, and I was telling a good close friend of the show that before I got that surgery. Wow, there's a lot of airplane action.
Are we being buzzed?
Or maybe it's helicopters.
It's helicopters outside.
Maybe
I forgot to tell you about the helicopter.
Searching.
Yeah, exactly. So, as I was telling my friend, of the show, that it was so bad that my sciatica was acting up, and I could only walk so far before I would lose feeling in my legs, and that is just very kind of like disturbing.
Yeah,
but
I've had sciatica before. It's extremely painful.
That's what your sister was having while she was helping us at Comic Palooza.
So, when I had the surgery,
it's the walking wounded.
All that went away, and I felt like a new man. And it was great. It took me. They were saying it was going to take about a year and a half to recover from. Man, there's those helicopters.
I'm telling you, weird.
And it was going to take me about a year and a half.
Go out and wave at him.
But I managed to get through everything, and it only took me 6 months. And like I said, I was a new man. The pain that I had, it just kind of almost went all away. And the pain I keep describing that I have is just overall through my system and stuff. So
you seem like it's somewhat better. It's not like fixed or anything, but I'm not seeing the debilitation.
The thing is that when I'm physical, or when I get physical, like today, I was trying to plug some things in to power supplies and stuff, and I was having a hard time, and it started messing with my shoulder, and then if I walk too long, it starts to aggravate my shoulder. Sometimes, depending on how the pain is, I can drop my head down, and that pain will just go away.
Yeah, when you put your neck down like that, I notice you're getting some relief.
I'm like stretching out the vertebrae from my neck into like my mid-shoulder area, and that helps to relieve pain. I know that the arthritis in my shoulder and the pain that's in my muscle, I guess my arm, and it even goes down to my pinky, where I get some numbness in my pinky. That's painful, but I can deal with that pain. And I know you shouldn't have to deal with the pain, and I recognize that. It's not like I'm trying to deal with it. I am making strides.
I'm not going to deal with the pain if this thing keeps going on with my right hand. I'm just going to get a hook for a hand.
Yeah, so she could stab me, and when I'm sleeping. Yeah. Anyway, but that's what the deal is. I'm sticking to it and trying to get well, and I do feel better.
Well, that's good
in a lot of ways, but I still recognize I do need some help, and I'm making my strides.
You shouldn't be doing the hard physical labor that much anymore.
No, I'm doing the hard physical labor.
Yeah, I feel like Glover from Lethal Weapon. I'm getting too old for this, and not necessarily the broadcasting, because I love to do the broadcast. That's the easy thing. It's being a tech, getting under desk, and stuff like that.
We need to find you a more sedentary job. However, I'm proud of me for loading that van from the house and then unloading the van.
Surlana, that's hard on your body too.
Are you sure you're not like breaking your hand trying to pat yourself on the back?
I'll tell you how I'm going to break my hand when I come over to your side of the studio in a second.
Oh, she's doing a good job.
I can make a fist,
it wouldn't be a show if I didn't, get her all riled up in some way.
That's right. Have you ever done water therapy? Because I swim at least 2 times a week. That really helps.
No, but I thought about that the other day, and it was like, when I was a kid, I had access to a pool. My grandmother, I lived with my grandmother, and she had a pool, and of course I used to have to clean it too, and I guess that's why I grew tiresome of it. But as a kid, I did enjoy swimming a lot and getting active in the pool. I was prone to earaches.
Sorry, there's more helicopters coming over the house.
Wow.
Unmarked black helicopters over our house.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, I
Go
thought
out there with the candle so they can see you.
I wish I had a pool now. To be honest with you, Catalina, and
we can get you a kiddie pool.
I need more than
you
a
know,
kiddie
one
pool.
of the therapies for the back is it's hard to find inner tubes anymore, but you just put your arms around the inner tube and just totally let your body dangle. That's really good therapy for the back.
Do you not remember watching season 1 of Stranger Things? We get you to kiddie pool, and then we put all that salt in it so you can float.
Okay, that's not the point. The point is to get the inner tube and just float there and just take a little nap while you float in the pool. And try
it's zero gravity. That's what you always got to look for, zero gravity, so that you just don't feel it. You know.
Right.
I think our bodies, whoever designed these bodies didn't really take gravity into account.
Right.
Too many years, decades of gravity on the body, the human body, just take its toll. And so that's why I like swimming, though, just being in water or tub or whatever. Anything that takes that gravity away, or the inverted cables, any of that kind of stuff. But I wish you well on that, and I'm glad you're hanging in there.
What's that thing that you'd lay down on it and it would flip you over and it would hang you upside down?
Those are the inverted tables.
But this was part of the 90s or something. It was part of some craze of home fitness equipment. It wasn't just nearly for therapy. It was just
you can get them on Amazon.
Want to hang upside down for a while? That was the thing.
You can get those on Amazon. They've got some that are pretty affordable, and you just put your feet through the little padded.
How do you get back down? That's what I don't understand.
There's a bar on the side, and so it has a release, and so it's not the kind where the bar is where they hook the boots. You don't use a boot. You just it sits on the floor.
Oh yeah, inversion table. I see them.
Yeah, those are really good. They're not that expensive, and it will totally relieve the pain.
Over $100, just over $100.
Yeah, you might find one, cheaper, maybe on Craigslist
Back stretcher.
or something like that.
For pain relief.
And that will give you some instant relief because, again, the gravity is not there. And but I suffered. I've had a back problem for 27 years now. About 27 years. So I'm always looking for new ways to, stretch the back, heal the back. I love those disposable pain pad things you can buy. They're cheap. They're sticky, and they have small, large, and they're 8-hour things. Those things are amazing. You put those on at the beginning of the morning, it'll really help. It really helps a lot. So those are cheap, and they're in there. But I'm a fellow back sufferer too, so I feel for you. And hang in there. And I'm just glad that we're heading towards summer. I'm looking forward to some fun and some music, and been listening to your music in my car still. So thank you for that.
Well, it's cool. It's great because now it's free for the masses.
And his latest album is really good too. I've really enjoyed his latest.
I've gotten a lot of feedback on what we've done with Spaceboy music, and it's working out for a lot of people. And it's not like people are hating it; they're loving it, and people
are hating it.
So it's always great to hear that. Yeah, I was just playing your music the other day in the car, and so just tell people where you got it, and share it. And,
I will.
And
one last thing. I thought it was cool. I listened to Fade to Black last night, and they played the Fader the Fader song in the beginning. I just thought that's cool. They played Spaceboy's music, cranked it up, for the beginning of the show at Contact Disc in the Desert. I thought, wow, that is very cool.
Oh, cool.
Because I'm sure people are like, what is that? That is, wow, what a great song.
It is a kick butt in your face theme, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
And the thing is that, I wrote that for Jimmy, and It's an original, unique song that even Surlana had feedback on it, and because
he forced me to have feedback.
I drug her out of bed just to say, what can we do to make this better? Just turn it up to 11. And
I'm like, well, you got to have guitars, real guitars, and make it rock and roll where it melts your face off, and that's what he did.
And it's turned into a really good song for Jimmy, and I'm glad that he still loves it.
So many people in the chat I've seen many times. So this is the greatest opening of any, of a song for any show. They just love it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was happy for you that yesterday they were just, cranking at Contact in the Desert. I was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
That to recognize.
I will admit, right. I might get out to Contact in the Desert sometime in the next few years. It might be without Surlana because she's not much on traveling. But
I just don't get anything out of it. I mean, I'd rather stay in the hotel, honestly.
But anyway, Spaceboy will have to travel someday, and
I can get you on a plane
and get out that
way. I
way.
want to go sometime too. Now that they've got it, where it's air conditioning,
exactly.
And I have a pool, and it's a big pool.
Oh yeah, that's a different venue. Maybe it's a different story now.
Palm Springs, is it Palm Springs or is it? Maybe I'm thinking
Indian Wells, I think, but it's close to Palm Springs.
Right, exactly.
And,
so it's Civilization this time.
Yeah, and they were going to add different stuff, like they were going to have night vision groups, and they were going to have some kind of dome with type of geometric, like a laserium thing where you listen to music and stuff like that. And
cool.
So I figured, they'll work out the kinks this year, and then maybe next year I'll go because it just sounded really fun.
The appeal of Joshua Tree being out there in the middle of nowhere where there's less lighting, if you wanted to have an encounter or a sighting, that would have been more likely. Whereas if you're in Civilization, like, nah,
Yeah, I'm not sure where they're going to hold those the night vision groups, because they were offering that. So I thought maybe they're going to get in the van and go off the property or somewhere. But anyways, I really want to go because that's part of our paranormal tribe that's huge, and to be with some of the big speakers is also a plus too. So, but you guys got to go with the original Joshua Tree, so you can brag about that because that won't happen again.
True. I like to think I'm the original OG Fadernaut. In fact, I always make the joke about there were 5 of us that started when Jimmy first came on the air on the Dark Matter Radio Network, and and we've kind of drifted away, to say the least. But in my own self-defense is I learned from the master and went off to create my own universe, and that's why we have Spaceboy Universe. And when the show is done, it's really, if you will, a kind of a tribute to the man who allowed me to peek behind the curtain and see how he did his thing. And and it was something I wanted to do different than just write music. I wanted, I had a voice that wasn't being used for singing, and I felt like, hey, I get behind the mic and we'll tell a story, and I drugged my wife into this thing, and now the rest is history.
I love your show. It's very unique. There's nobody else that's doing the husband and wife team, and I just love it. So just keep doing it, and I love you guys.
You gotta say
I'll let you go.
All right, dear. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, Catalina.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.
She would say that I'm trying to get fired.
Yeah, you're not getting fired.
Now, okay, look. Is that someone cutting their grass for 30 minutes? Or is that helicopters going over the house?
Can you carry it for just long enough for me to look outside?
Here's what I forgot to tell you, though.
Hold on. Don't tell me, and just talk about something until I come right back. I'm going to...
Okay,
ladies and gentlemen, this is a live show, and I'm going to look outside the front door just to see if there's a flying...
I'll talk about what he's doing. Okay,
here we go.
We've been talking to... The whole time we've just been talking to Catalina on the phone there. It sounds like there's an army of helicopters going over our house. I don't know if that's what it is, or if somebody's waiting until 11:20 at night to mow their lawn. That doesn't sound like a lawnmower. Okay, he just opened the front door and it's very loud. I don't know if you can hear this over. No, that is something flying over the house for sure. That is definitely some. This has been going on for 30 minutes. Okay, now it just got quiet. Okay, this is just really strange. Well, when he gets back in here, I'll tell you about what I saw earlier in this week, but why would there be so many planes or helicopters flying over this part? We're in West Houston. We're not near an airport. There's two airports. There's Hobby, which is to the south, and there's Bush Intercontinental, which is more toward the north. Hobby is south of 610, and Bush is north of 610, like way north. So we're not in a flight path of anything commercial. Okay, he's coming back. Give us a report on what you have witnessed, Spaceboy. He's got to put his headset back on. Hold on. Headphones. When you opened the front door, that got so loud.
Yeah, okay, so here's my report, Surlana. So I peeked my head out the front door, and there's a helicopter that's circling over, not quite overhead of us, but kind of further down our road, but it looks like it's trying to circle over Brittmore. It's kind of like going Brittmore and then kind of going
So
over.
is it like a police helicopter or traffic helicopter?
It looks like a police helicopter. I can't really make it out, but it
looks like a regular commercial helicopter, not military.
No, it doesn't definitely look like military. It's like a cop because far off into the distance behind us to the freeway, I can hear a cop car off in the distance.
Something must have happened. Something major must have happened.
So I can only imagine that
they're chasing somebody.
They're chasing somebody, and we've
locked the front door, right?
Yeah, I locked the front door. You know how we've got that big field down at the end of our street,
and we're backed up to a levee too.
Mm-hmm. And just on the other side is the Adex reservoir, and so it can easily get somebody back there and.
Well, the reason I thought maybe it was like a bunch of them was, okay, I forgot to tell you this, because by the time I get home from work, I'm like, I don't care about nothing.
Yes, I know.
So, I think we've got another caller. I think. Hold on.
Well, the thing is, we're almost to the bottom of the hour.
Well, I was driving home, and I saw 6 helicopters in, like, formation flying to the east.
Black helicopters?
These had to be military. These were not commercial helicopters. So these look like serious military helicopters. Mm-hmm. And I saw them from a distance because I could see the flashing, like the sun was glinting off of something. And then, so
well,
that's what I thought. Maybe something's going on we don't know about.
The thing is that, while I was out there, I started thinking, okay, maybe it's not a good idea for me to be out here because if they're circling,
suspect on the loose.
Yeah, exactly. If they're on the loose and I've got the door wide open, looking out there.
Well, I just want to know sometimes if the military is like buzzing the house or something,
You never know. You never know, Surlana. And but
if you're calling right now, we're about to go to break, so if you want to hang up and call again when we come back from the break, that'll be cool.
Mm-hmm. So do that.
Stick around.
So we will come back, and hopefully nobody tries to break into our house. And we'll see you when you get back.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Surlana.
Get your game on Spaceboy Universe. Level up with Spaceboy Universe. No quarters, no problems. Play it at Spaceboy Universe.
are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
We're live from the action scene, and apparently there's a police helicopter circling the area.
Oh, I should check the local news site. They're printing everything.
See, I was going to check traffic, and then that would have led to Google Maps.
Google Maps, really?
Yeah, go to Google Maps.
The local news.
And then type in, and then I guess the local news would be next, but then type in traffic. There's our buzzing helicopter again.
Okay, their caller has come back.
Let's go ahead and patch it through. Live from the West Coast. Is this who I think it is?
I don't know what you're thinking, but it's me.
Hello, Dino. How are you?
Hi, pretty good. It's been a while since you've been back. Roswell. Oh, we don't say that. But I want to talk about more than your medical problems, but I do feel for you. That's nothing to mess with. At any rate, CBD oil is another thing. Don't tell your doctor, though, to help. Okay, so if there is a police action going on, which is the vibe I get from this, then, just keep things locked and, and don't answer the door till morning. If you're near a corral, or did you say a creek or something?
Yeah.
A bill allowing sorry, I don't know what that is.
The sorry, Solana distracted me. We are close to a reservoir where when it floods, it collects all the rainwater so that we don't flood, and so we're down just on the opposite, behind our house. I'd say about a football field's length is this thing that collects water, and you can easily get lost in there because it's pretty wooded. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what, if it is a bad guy, that's where they're going for. They're going for cover.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just don't knock on the door, lock windows. I haven't seen too much of that, but I know in the city, a couple of times whenever those helicopters are over, the last thing you think about is that it's a UFO crash. That's for sure. But it could be that, but
did not enter my mind.
What's that, Surlana?
Did not enter my mind. UFO crash.
And Spacecadets, no one helped me tonight. I'm so glad you're on live. And I was cooking some free-range chicken breast, and I forgot how long you're supposed to fry it. I had my good olive oil, Italian olive oil, and I asked Bev and everybody, and they didn't tell me how long to cook it. So I ate some of it. Hopefully it's cooked enough.
Well, our rule of thumb is if it's pink in it, then don't eat it.
Yeah, that's what I figured. And I used a rolling pin and some wax paper to flatten it a bit so it would fry more evenly. I don't do a lot of frying, but when I do, I make it good. Put a lot of garlic on it,
Ooh, good
anyway,
stuff.
There's been a lot of topics since you've been off air, and I don't want to rip off your show, but we're all big fans of Heather Wade, and it looks like she's back on track after a hiatus, and we all gave her thank you. She thanks you for your moral support, and it looks like hopefully it will on we go, and as usual, we want to get you good guests as well, because you're my favorites here. And, we don't get too much into politics here, but it makes you wonder. This has been a very tumultuous year so far for Washington, D.C., and we still have, everybody has an opinion on the To the Stars Academy, but it looks like they're still plugging away, disinformation or not. They promise more information to come for those who are, unlike us, uninformed about what we believe is happening on our planet.
Right.
So hopefully we'll get more guests on, and I really wonder what happened to our gentleman NASA technician who was going to be on a couple of months ago. And
it's interesting you brought that up, because I found the business cards he sent Solana and myself, and so we are going to definitely try to reach out to him, see if he's okay, see what's going on, and try to see if we can get him back onto the show. So he is in our minds, and I'm glad you brought that up. And
he is an interesting man.
been on hold because of Comic Palooza, but now we're past that. We can devote our attentions to some other things.
And then plus, now that we're freed up because we're not doing 2 shows now, we can narrow our energy and our focus on the SBU, which I would have to say that our energies have been kind of divided. But now we're back strictly doing the SBU. I don't plan on, producing any shows or creating any new shows other than content for the SBU, and I think Surlana's feeling the same way, and that will relieve a lot of stress on us to focus on what's important, our first love, and that's the SBU.
And that'll be wonderful because you can treat it like, what is the simile of that, caviar or a fine wine. You can put all your attention into it, and that way you will not release a fine show before it's time, as they used to say.
Most indeed.
So I just really try whatever you can. Don't get too wild and get your bone structure, your spine in shape, because I know I never experienced that because I'm a pretty thin, tall guy until a couple of years ago I did have a sciatica attack. So we don't want that going on, and you're still young enough that you can divert that. And it's good to hear that you're eating healthy. I mean, take it as a sign that you can change other maybe not so great health habits in your life if you identify them, and on you go down the road, and you'll have more energy. And we were talking about contact in the desert, and maybe it is a great experience. You had it, I had it one year, but maybe it's time to go on. So many people go there, and it's like a kumbaya camp moment where everybody feels great, but I'm beginning to wonder if it serves a purpose anymore,
Well, it's kind of like, I have been thinking about that a lot. Like, we haven't been in quite a few years, and if we were to go back, it would be as SBU, and that's something we haven't done. And when I say we, it would probably just be me, and Surlana would be remotely managing things back here at Houston Control, but
in an underground bunker.
Yeah, in an underground bunker, undisclosed underground bunker. But and I think that might be something that I might consider in the future, where I go to Contact in the Desert, or I go to an event, and I'm representing the SBU team. Just show up and meet people that are out there, and just have a good time, but and then come back home, and it doesn't take much for me to do the show remote, and so that would be something I would consider. And since it's been a while since I've done Contact in the Desert, or I was actually there for Fade to Black, representing them and all that good stuff. Yeah. This would give it an opportunity to break the SBU down, and then network and bring guests that we didn't have before to the show, and show them that on site that, hey, we are a force to be reckoned with, and we'll treat you right on the show. And me, Dino, I've always been legit with you, and if there's anybody out there in the universe that knows me fairly well, it's you.
Absolutely, and I think that's a good idea. And I'll make a little announcement. I try to keep a lot of stuff private about me personally, but I'm going to be retiring next week from my day job. My income's going to go way down, but I'm going to need to work part-time. I'm going to get a partial pension from what I've done. And a lot of people, since this is a small show, I'll tell people what I've been doing the last 20 years is teaching in the public schools. And I wanted to be very careful when I was on air on various programs, that just in case, didn't want to get a reputation as a cuckoo, or something. And,
right.
And so now I don't give a, bahootie, and I'm going to be doing something just to help pay the bills, and I'll have hopefully more time to do what I want to do. And who knows, maybe you tell me when you're going next time, and maybe I'll be your backup there, because I definitely can help you broadcast, or if I feel the need. I mean, I think we're getting information from various programs now. It's no longer just the recently deceased Art Bell, and I know that you've been very helpful to his anointed protege who has picked up the taken the when they run a race, taking
the baton.
The baton, that's the word. Thank you. I just had chicken and some alcohol for the first time in 2 weeks.
Well, I think you know that
carried it on.
I think you know that I like Heather, and I wish her well, and I think she's got a lot of chemistry there, and she sounds great with the guest, and she has a lot of potential to grow into something very special, and that's why I don't mind saying publicly about Heather Wade that if you ever get a chance, listen to her. I think as she's got the Spaceboy stamp of approval, so I wish her well.
Yeah, and I don't want to make you embarrassed, but you have developed too this is a very professionally done show, and I don't know what it is, but at some point something could launch you. It's like a lot of people. I mean, we won't mention names, but who just a few years ago was really not known, outside of small programs they did, but something happened, and if that's what you wish to do, perhaps you will be able to do that. But I certainly know that you have developed as a person and as a broadcaster, and in some ways, I think we have to give more kudos to you because no one really helped you. You've done the technical side, the talent side, the booking side, bringing your wife into it, but you've done it yourself. No one really mentored you. You had a intention, and you have fulfilled it. And you sound great over the air. The network you're on, you always have good sound. There have been a few mess ups, but hopefully I sound well on the telephone. These calls that come in usually do sound well, and you don't tend to have the glitches other people have. Well, maybe that's because you're not on the radar yet of the NSA or the deep state, and they go, oh yeah, we don't care. Let him talk. But when you had, and we've all discussed this, and the regular listeners know, when you had Stan Romanek on, that was a coup that no one else did, and it showed that he and his wife, Lisa, was it, felt comfortable enough that you were a professional enough person that they let you be one of their forums. And in talking, I don't see him here tonight, but to Eric, one of our regular listeners who seems to be a get-around guy. I don't know. I think he spends all his vacation money going to UFO conferences, but I've met him personally, and he talked to all of us. He said that he thinks that Mr. Romanek might have been kind of railroaded into something's not right. That he wasn't having child porn on his computer, and someone was messing with him. Maybe because some people think he's a fantastic liar, but he has some interesting things that he's had to say through the years recently.
Yeah, it was quite an exciting evening that evening, Dino, and Surlana was very reluctant to do that show because she was afraid of the stuff surrounding Stan might rub off on us in some way, and in the end, it didn't. And for me, it was like. I just found it a fascinating story.
Well, I did read all three of their books that they had out at that time. Now, since then, they have removed all of their books from everywhere because they don't want to seem like they're trying to profit off of anything. Like they're trying to take advantage of it.
They seem like good people. And Surlana, I know, you're kind of brought into this because of your spousal obligations, so to speak. but you are a great, you do your research. I bet some of these other shows that right now are bigger than your show, at least from a more listener standpoint, don't do as much research, and if they do, the host doesn't do much. And I know that Space does a lot of hard work. I know he's got a day job that he won't quit, and you're there and you do too. And you're there to back him up. And a lot of times you amaze me, even if it's a topic you didn't know much about. You've come on air and said, well, I read this, I did. And you do very good research. You could work at a television station. You're a good
How can you talk about a topic if you don't know anything about it? So I research so I can have something to say.
People do that. People come out and BS people because they see shows of you're not the same genre, but in the general genre of your show as entertainment solely, not as truth-seeking.
Well, then he lets me do some shows, very nice of him, I suppose, on topics that I find fascinating. And so those are probably even better shows because I do the research because I'm interested genuinely in it, like the topics we did for the code-breaking women of World War II, and stuff like that. And then when I try to tackle physics topics like, what the heck is dark matter? So I enjoyed those things like that.
Yeah, well, you are excellent at that, and it impresses me because I remember when the show first started, I always tell people to tune in. I go, yeah, this guy's wife, Spaceboy's wife, she has announced on the air, something you never should do when you're a broadcaster. Hey, Saturday night, I'd rather be reading a fantasy book in my bedroom alone.
I would, if you would just let
I know you
go.
would, but it's the truth. You guys are real truth people, and you're honest about your relationship, and that is something I have not heard. I guess Bill Burns and Nancy were doing it for a while, but even they didn't get to the level of you guys.
I would be willing
real.
to do the research, type it all up in little bite-sized chunks like he wants it, and then he could just use what I've written, and he could do it himself. I've even thought about having a contest where somebody could send in sound bites to be temporary guest hosts with him, trying to find a way to get out of
Dino,
this.
and I tell her, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the same show. The show has already...
Well, it's been 3 years. Maybe that's enough.
I mean, 3 years of the Spaceboy universe? You
say
that.
Me. Maybe you want to try something new and different.
No, it's too much of a... You first off, you hate anybody coming over here anyway to even peek in our front door. Could you imagine having somebody on a full-time basis?
That is what we got this program for that Dino's using, that he doesn't know, to call in. This is how you have a co-host who doesn't have to be here.
Anyway, don't look for
you can do that, guys, but you can do that, guys. But Space is right. You are part of this because you've developed a style and an identity, and you need to be there most of the time, Surlana, because you are part of it. So that's my opinion. And the point is, we're trying to get out. You're not just a space. Alien show, but I enjoy those shows. That's one of my favorites, and the cryptids can be interesting as well. I used to think that was just fantasy, but as I meet more people and talk to more people, and even I have my little gray alien head keychain that I pull out when I think someone new that I've met seems comfortable with me, and I watch their reaction, and I am shocked about how many people that probably would have never thought to talk to me about certain topics will open up with that. So that tells me there's something going on,
Mm-hmm.
And we need shows to get out, and maybe not everybody knows of your show yet, but some people don't want to listen to AM radio with millions of commercials. Some other people might like something online, but the hosts have too much ego, or they try to, you guys are just real, but you still get the information out. And the only thing I would suggest is that you might want to start, as you're now focusing on this, doing a little paragraph write-up at the beginning, tell people, in 3 nights we'll have, Linda Moulton Howe, and doing a little quick write-up so that people who do not know the guest will have a reference point and maybe call in more with pointed questions for a guest when you have them.
That sounds good. I think we could try to incorporate something like that into the program, Dino, and make that happen.
Well, Surlana is very literate. I mean, I know she reads and writes well, and that could be one of her duties there.
Look, Dino, I just bought a book, so don't make me feel like I'm out of the loop here.
No, it's for real. It's for real. So anyhow, we all support what you're doing, and the fidelity. Your show hardly ever has the technical difficulties of these other shows, and I think it's because you do prepare. And like I say, I'm here to help you at any point with anything I can do. I'll try to scrounge up another interesting guest if I can that maybe you haven't had on. And, we keep saying David Adair is hot again. Apparently the SHIELD Act that I wrote letters and many of our listeners here on the show and elsewhere wrote letters got killed. But, he's still pushing for that because we must, even if you're not political, we must harden our electrical grid and our power grid in general in America. And, we'll get a little political here. We spend so much time sending our troops overseas to do stuff. Let's do a little bit of, and again, I don't want a Nazi state, and I don't like some of the Bill of Rights violations that I believe are happening right now in America. But if you're going to do something, let's spend some of our tax money on keeping our infrastructure together so we can at least keep some kind of a lifestyle, quality of life here.
And I strongly try to stay away from the political angle on this show because, you can go out there and listen to any of your talk shows out there, or whether it be Fox and Friends or MSNBC or CNN. But at the end of the day, I kind of agree with you. As much money as we throw away, whether it be at the Pentagon or whether it be into programs that our senators are making back deals behind closed doors, a lot of that money could be spent on America. And I know we have a global audience, but I'm talking to the Americans right now, and that is that we waste a lot of money that can be spent. And I'm not talking about creating special projects, but maybe spending money on the community so that it can invest and put it where it needs to be, whether it be roads that need to be fixed, whether it be to feed starving people. I mean, it's sad that our own country, we have people that go hungry, and they're out there trying to do the best that they can to make a living, but they can't rub two dimes together to make enough money to have a decent food source in their thing, and that's sad. And then there's just so many other things that.
The homeless. I mean, I live in a very wealthy area of our country, and there are people just taken off, and I think they've got almost too much. I'm not going to judge, but they have plenty of material possessions. They can eat whatever they want, go to a restaurant every night, and not suffer. And yet we have some of the largest homeless problems in some of the richest areas. Mm-hmm. And that's not the America that we were all taught back in high school civics, And that's another thing that bugs me because I've been a public school teacher for many years. I've had many careers, but that there's not enough emphasis, especially in high school, on civics. You're hard-pressed to find in major cities a civics course, and that was one of my favorite courses when I was a senior in high school because it taught me how our government at least is supposed to work according to our Constitution. And, I know that we have listeners who even here that might disagree with my political views, but we all can agree that we need to be taking care of how our country runs. We can't have these wide gaps in economic classes. It's only going to lead to trouble. And at the same time, we don't want to get too heavy into the gun debate, but I have good friends that tell me, oh, horrible, all these shootings, let's disarm practically everybody. And that's not a good idea. History, even if you don't like it and you don't want, God forbid I ever have to shoot anybody, but, you want to be able to say, hey, if the government really goes bad, where they're really starting to say, we don't care about the Bill of Rights anymore, we're rounding this up, or we're going to make this, or you can't say this, and it's already happening with the Internet. So that, all I'll say about that is that one thing, whether you're left, right, or don't care, that people should be working on right now as individuals is getting rid of this Citizens United legislation that came in a few years ago that says, this decision by, it's not a legislation, it was the Supreme Court, said, oh yeah, corporations or companies have the same right as individual citizens under the Constitution. Mm-hmm. BS!
Right.
And there are people working now to change this, and I don't care if you're right or left, but we got to stop this influence of getting paid for elected representatives that are supposed to represent us on everything from UFO cover-ups to, militarization around the world, and get things straight again where it's one person, one vote.
Totally agree with you, Dino. And, ultimately also, my thought process is that in order for things to make a difference, it's got to come from the community. It's not going to come from the government. We have to be, we can't rely on the government to be there and expect a handout because they're too busy lining their own pockets. They do their 20, 30 years in Congress, and then they turn right around and become a lobby for the people that they've been passing these bills for. So it's
exactly.
It's just a travesty. But, well, Dino, I'd love to talk more on this subject, but we're about to close the program out, and it's always a blessing when you call in. And
if I can do one more thing.
Go ahead.
One little thing, and I'll say, please, sweetie, I hope you have very beautiful dreams tonight. That's one thing. Thank you for that one little discretion there.
Not a problem, my friend. Not a problem. Well, I guess we'll catch you next
All
time,
right.
Dino.
Good night, Surlana, and thank you. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So there you go, Dino. It's always a pleasure to hear from him on any evening and or when you get home from work. And
I've been looking at local news sites, and there's nothing about helicopter that's constantly buzzing over that street, over a house, because I guess it's just too happening right now, or too. I don't know what's going on outside, but it is still going on.
So usually at this point, Surlana, I say housekeeping, and you tell us what's coming on next. But
I don't know.
We're into the unknown country area.
We'll be here.
We'll be here live.
Something will happen.
And as we progress and start booking people and reaching out to people again,
getting revved up again,
and get back into a normal stream. And since we only have the SBU to deal with,
how much fuel is in a helicopter?
How much fuel?
How long can you buzz in a helicopter before you got to refuel?
Well, until it goes empty.
Yeah, but how long is that?
I'd have to check my helicopter, wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm. This is a lot. This is an hour.
Well, it has been about an hour, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess at some point, once we get off the air, we could check something else to see if indeed if there's some news out there. I think there's another thing we could try.
Mm-hmm.
But on that magical note, Surlana, we appreciate all the Space Cadets tuning in tonight, and we look forward as we make our way to September, which will be our 3rd year on the air.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, can you believe that, Surlana? 3 years. So, 3 years on the SBU and still going strong, and we appreciate everyone that keeps tuning in. So, on that magical note, I'm Spaceboy, and that is Skype, which I'd like to shoot. And you've been listening to the fabulous Spaceboy Universe. Tune in to next Saturday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, where Spaceboy and Surlana will choke each other to death and make a show out of it. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Surlana. Executive producer is Surlana. Social media producer is Dennis Koch. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K28, Solars Blue Raven, Patrick Spurrier, Dino, Bob and Beverly M. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Surlana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.